First of all, give honor and praise to God of Abraham, God of Isaac, God of Jacob, the great mighty revered God, the most high God, who bestows loving kindness, possesses all things, who remembers the pious deeds of the patriarchs, the most high, slow of anger, great in kindness, forgiving iniquity and transgressions, but who by no means clear the guilty, visiting iniquities of fathers upon children to the third and fourth generation. The Most High's work is perfect, for all his ways of justice, the God of faithfulness, and without iniquity, just and right is he, giving due respect to a head in Israel. Chief of Chief Eleazar, to the chief men, princes, brothers and sisters, I say unto you at the time of our forefathers, Shemini Atzeret Shalom.
Shemini Atzeret Shalom Rekah.
This is Shemini Atzeret is what you call the 8th day, last day of the Feast of Tabernacles, in commemoration when the children of Israel dwelt in tents in the wilderness. And we are ordained to have a holy convocation, which is a Mikra Kodesh, which is called for a holy gathering, a holy convocation. All right? Now, one thing I want to expound on, and we as a people that claim the heritage of Jacob, we got to learn to follow what the book says. If the book didn't call a man or a woman evil, you cannot add that in there, calling them evil and then adding in your own opinions and your own thoughts about these people. Because one thing we need to realize is that the people that we read about, they are the pace setters. They are the ones that paved the way for you.
That's right.
They are the one that paved the way for you to follow. They are the one that paved the way so that you will be able to determine and be able to perceive the mind and the character of God by what the Most High accepts and what he don't accept, and what happened when this particular thing happened or when this happened. They paved the way. These are the men and the women that were used for an example, which means they stepped through the fire. Now I know not to step through that way because they did it, and this is the reaction. This is how we need to learn and start reading this book and stop calling these people evil and wicked, because these people that we read about are the true seed of Jacob.
That's right.
We a bunch of mangy, mixed up, mangy dogs. We the strangers. We the foreigners. We the ones that's all mixed up and there's no true seed here. Because we went against the very same thing that God said not to do. He said, do not mingle the holy seed. Don't mingle the holy seed. It was such of a decree that within your tribe, it was against us to go marry outside of our tribes. We have to marry within our tribes to keep everything pure. But yet, a person or a dude that done bald his head and shaved his face want to come and read the book and call somebody evil and wicked. Don't worry about what Saul did. Don't worry about what these men did. They were examples of what not to do, what to do, what to follow, what path should you walk in. They was the ones that showed us the way. Look, God gave a command to Adam and told him to stay away from the tree. It never clarified it and said it was a fruit. It was a tree of the knowledge of good. This tree open you up to general views. Adam and Eve were naive. They was naive, they were simple, and because they was naive, that's how they were able to be beguiled. That's why Eve got beguiled. Look, the serpent increased the desire in her to make her desire wanting to be like unto a God. She said, oh, I'm going to be like God, knowing both sides. The adversary did that by beguiling her. That woman wasn't evil. There was no evil in her. There wasn't no evil in her. Because they didn't partake of that tree of knowledge of good and evil just as yet. They were naive. They didn't know what was evil. They didn't know what was good. And that's what made them innocent. Not knowing both sides. Right. We are evil because we know both sides, and that's what the Creator was trying to put a stop to. That's what the Creator was trying to put a stop to. So he gave them a command, and even they too had a choice. God does things and put it before you and let you choose to see what you want to see. Look, if I don't make you choose, I don't know what you have in you.
That's right.
I don't know what you have in you. That's why you'll never know what you have in the child until the child grows up into a grown, to grow up into an adult. Then and only then you will perceive, by choices. The choices that you have decided and you made on your own. On your own, man. God never said, listen, God never said these people was evil. Whoever God said was evil, okay, they're evil. That's what God said. But if God didn't say this person or that person or this one was evil, you can't put that in there and put that block. You're more evil than them. You're more evil than them. Let's go into Job. Job chapter 1. We're going to read about a man he was a Babylonian from the land of Uz. And go ahead, read.
There was a man in the land of Uz whose name was Job.
Job.
And that man was perfect and
upright.
Was perfect.
He was perfect. Okay? Perfect. Perfect and upright. Upright. Upright meaning his morals, moral rectitude. Another definition of being upright is conscientious. Conscientious. Conscientious means to have a conscience, a feeling of obligation to make right that which was done wrong, which means you're going to begin to make amends with God. First and foremost, before I begin or have thoughts or an idea to make amends with mortal flesh, first of all, I'm going to make amends with the Creator. I'm going to make amends with God first. Okay? Now, the beginning of making amends with God is to refrain from sinning presumptuously. You make amends with God by not repeating the same violation. Okay? This is a continual mentality that we need to begin to acquire in order for God to look at us as upright. An upright man or an upright person will make amends with God. Will make amends with the Creator. Now the man was perfect. He was perfect and upright. He was perfect with who? Perfect with the Creator. And because he was perfect with God, he's gonna deal in a perfect manner with people. Because he's upright with God, he's gonna be upright and just with what's before him. Okay? Now, and what he did, he said, one that feared God and eschewed evil. To eschew evil means to turn aside, to depart, to turn away, to turn aside, to depart. Once now in order to depart from evil, you gotta know what is evil. What am I supposed to depart or turn away from? And the only way we're gonna have an idea of what is evil is by reading the book. God shows us in this book by reading, tells us what is evil and what is good, what is holy and what is profane. When we read this book and we come into knowledge of what is evil and what is good, it's up to you to stay away from it. It's up to you, Tamshi.
And there were born unto him 7 sons and 3 daughters.
7 sons and 3 daughters. Read.
His substance also was 7,000 sheep and 3,000 camels and 500 yokes of oxen and 500 she asses and a very great household, so that this man was the greatest of all the men of the east. And his sons went and feasted in their houses, every one his day, and sent and called for their 3 sisters to eat and drink with them. And it was so.
You see all this? You see all this? 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 500 oxen, 500 she asses, and a very great. He was rich. You got all that, thousands and thousands of cattle. You straight. You straight. He said, so that this man was the greatest of all men of the east, Tamshi.
And it was
Verse
so
4,
on the day, and his sons went and feasted in their houses, every one his day.
Everyone on his day.
And sent and called for their 3 sisters to eat and drink with them. And it was so, when the days of their feasting were gone about, that Job sent and sanctified them. And rose up early in the morning and offered burnt offerings according to the number of them all. But Job said, it may be that my sons have sinned and cursed God in their hearts. Thus did Job continue.
It may be that my sons have sinned and cursed God in their heart, in their mind, which means you can curse God just by your thoughts alone.
That's right.
That's why when you read the book, it tells you, he said, forward thoughts separate from God. Forward thoughts are thoughts that are contrary from what the book says. And when we realize these thoughts that is contrary and opposite to what God says, we gotta learn to push those thoughts away. Eject those thoughts and don't let it linger.
That's how you do it.
Do not let it linger. Push those thoughts away and correct yourself. Why am I thinking this way? What is causing me to think this way? There is something that I have done in my life in the past, which is the reason of what caused me to move in this manner. When we have this outlook upon life, there's a reason why you move in a certain accord, in a certain way. It's an effect. We affect, whatever we do in life has an effect on our future and what goes on ahead of us. You pave the way. You pave your own future. You pave your own path. And God only going to give you the lust and the desire of your own heart. Of your own heart.
Now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves.
Now there was a day when the sons of God, all right? I underline that, sons of God, right? Now, when you read that, it says B'nai Ha-Elohim, right? And why I underlined it? Because in Genesis 6, people say, right? In Genesis 6, it says the same thing. verse 2. It says that the sons of God saw the daughters of men. Okay? Okay? B'nai Ha Elohim. Those was not regular men. Those was angels. Those was angels that came down. Now people say, oh, that ain't real. The angels ain't. Yes, it did happen. That's why it's called Nephilim. Come from the word Naphal, meaning the fallen ones. The fallen ones. Because once they did what they did and went into the daughters of men, they fell from the grace of God. Once they did that, that sealed their fate. They couldn't return. They couldn't go back. So they had giants. And that's the same word that it refers to in Genesis 6. It said, now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord. Tamshi. And Satan came also.
And Satan came also among them. And the Lord said unto Satan, whence comest thou?
He said, where you coming from? He said, where you coming from? From whence comest thou?
Then Satan answered the Lord and said, from going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down in it.
It said from going to and fro, walking up and down in it. That's the adversary. He's adverse. He's adverse to God. Adverse means to be against. To be against, Tamshi.
And the Lord said unto Satan, hast thou considered my servant Job?
He said, man, did you consider my servant Job? The word for consider is samta. It means, did you evaluate him? All right? To evaluate means to appraise or the worth of. You see the worth of this man? Do you recognize the worth of this man? To evaluate the value and the quality of. Right? The value is a degree or the stage of excellence.
The high degree.
The stages of excellence. It wasn't, look, excellence means to be eminent. Eminent meaning how he stands out.
100%.
What caused, listen, man, and realize something. This is what caused God to push Job and make a whole conversation about the man in the heavens because he was doing things that caused him to stand out. Once you start things that cause you to stand out from the rest, the scope is on you. Right. And certain things are going to go down in your life that people will never be able to explain or understand. Right. Because you have done things to stand out before God. There is a degree of excellence. He didn't just return. There's steps and stages, and there's steps and stages that you have to go through to be perfect with God. There's certain stages you got to go through. And when you get to that top stage to where you're standing out, you're doing laws that people don't even have the mind or the mentality or haven't even thought about doing. All they worried about is putting on fringes. That's it. That's all they worried about. They don't worry about nothing else. But then you have a man that have raised up, that have decided to serve God. And when that person decide and come to terms with himself to serve God, he gonna start getting into the laws and the commandments of God. Not making no excuse, not trying to take out and add on. Listen, we got this book for a reason. We have this book for a reason. There is no need to add in or take nothing away. There's no reason. Because when you add on or take away, you taint it. You become tainted. The book ain't tainted. But you end up tainting and blemishing yourself. Why? Because you're going to start following your law, not God's law, not from what you read, Tamshi.
And the Lord said unto Satan, hast thou considered my servant Job?
Did you consider my servant Job?
But there is none like him.
There's none like this guy here. There's none like him. Which means, look, ain't nobody like this guy here, man. There's no Israelite on earth to be compared to this dude here. This dude is following these laws word for word.
Perfect.
If it don't say it, don't add in. There is a way to gain the attention of God.
That's right.
The only way to gain his attention, to gain the Most High's attention, is to follow this word for word, man.
Mm-hmm.
Word for word. But people follow it, add on to it, to appease themselves. To appease themselves. So they add in, they take away. Go ahead, read.
That there is none like him in the earth.
Uh-huh.
A perfect and an upright man.
An upright man.
One that feareth God.
One that feared God.
And escheweth evil.
And eschew evil. Turn away from evil. Uh-huh.
Then Satan answered the Lord and said, doth Job fear God for naught?
He said, man, Job don't fear you for nothing. Job don't fear you for nothing. There's a reason why this guy is fearing you and doing all. Read.
Has not thou made a hedge about him and about his house and about all that he hath on every side? Thou hast blessed the work of his hands, and his substance is increased in the land.
He said, thou hast blessed. He said, has not thou made an edge about him? You know what that hedge is? You know what that hedge is? Means of protection or defense. God built a whole edge around Job. And what was he protected from? Nothing physical. It was nothing physical that it was being protected from the outside or external forces. It was a force that you cannot you cannot see. It's a force that God gave. He said, God gave Cain, he said, rule over it. Over what? Those forces. Being able to detect iniquity when it comes. Being able to detect that negative force when it comes to you. Because why this force comes to you, why these thoughts of iniquity comes to us, is because we have a breach. There's an opening. But Job didn't have a breach. Job didn't have an opening. Because everything was sealed. The boundary was set around. What sealed that boundary? What gave him that force? Being perfect and upright with God. So because he was perfect and upright with God, God put an edge around him so that he cannot be penetrated.
Not even that.
Not just him.
And that's right. And not just him. Over him, over whatever he had.
Everything that he
had that force.
And bless the work of
all because of one man being perfect and upright. Not just any man, a father. A father can protect his own house with his righteousness, with his uprightness, with his perfection with God. He can protect his whole house with that. His whole house. That's why it's very important for a head, a leader, a king, and God will also visit the whole house according to what the head does. You don't see David in the Bible? They got their whole house took it out. The whole house, babies. God said, listen, he said, servants. He said, don't touch nothing of theirs. Because if you touch anything that belongs to them, you're going to be consumed in their iniquity. So don't touch nothing of theirs. Nothing. So a father can protect his whole house. Father can protect his whole house just by his upright doings. Now, the adversary was not able to penetrate. He couldn't penetrate that man because he was perfect and upright with God. And takes me back to what Cain said. What Cain? He said, if you do good, he said, I will exalt you. But if you don't improve, or you don't do good, then sin is going to lie at the opening. What opening? The opening of that breach. The breach. The opening. Read.
Hast thou not made an edge for him about his house?
You done made an edge for him around his house.
And about all that he hath on every side.
Around everything that he had on every side. Read.
Thou hast blessed the work of his hands.
So you blessed the work of his hands.
And his substance is increased in the land. But put forth thine hand now and touch all that he hath, and he will curse thee to thy face. And the Lord said unto Satan, Behold, all that he hath is in thy power. Only upon himself put not forth thine hand.
Listen, everything else that he had, he said you can touch it. It's yours. He said, for him, I'm not going to allow you to touch him.
Don't touch him at all.
Read.
So Satan went forth from the presence of the Lord. And there was a day when the sons and his daughters were eating and drinking wine in their eldest brother's house. And there came a messenger unto Job and said, The oxen were plowing, and the asses feeding beside them, and the Sabaeans fell upon them, and took them away. Yea, they have slain the servants with the edge of the sword, and I only am escaped alone to tell thee.
See, look,
just that.
He said this guy he made sure he allowed one person to escape and tell the story. Job was innocent with God, free from guilt or sin through being unacquainted with evil. Unacquainted with evil, which means when you're acquainted with it, you're a part of it. You're a part of it. You're a part of what went down. He separated himself from things that was against God. Man, he didn't want nothing to do with it. And read.
While he was yet speaking, there came also another and said, The fire of God is fallen from heaven and hath burned up the sheep and the servants and consumed them.
Burned up the sheep, the servants, consumed them.
And I only am escaped alone to tell you. While he was yet speaking, there also came yet another and said, The Chaldeans made out 3 bands and fell upon the camels and have carried them away, yea, and slain the servants with the edge of the sword. And I only am escaped alone to tell thee. While he was yet speaking, there came also another and said, Thy sons and thy daughters were eating and drinking wine in their eldest brother's house. And behold, there came a great wind from the wilderness and smote the 4 corners of the house, and it fell upon the young men, and they are dead. And I only am escaped to tell you. Then Job arose and rent his mantle and shaved his head and fell down upon the ground and worshiped.
You see what took place, man? You see what took place? We gotta realize one thing. Not every trial or tribulation, or not everything that go down in the person's life, it means that the person was evil.
Right. That's correct.
Don't mean that.
That's correct.
It don't mean that. Oh, you see what happened? How you know?
That man wasn't evil at all.
How you know? Because certain things God allowed to happen in a person's life to prove him, to prove him, or to put him through certain things or certain situations to prove him if he really or truly believed in God. So sometimes the Creator put you through certain things to prove you. Either you're going to pass it or you're going to fail. Go ahead, read.
And said, Naked came I out of my mother's womb, and naked shall I return thither. The Lord gave, and the Lord had taken away.
The Lord give it,
That's right.
and the Most High taken away.
That's right.
Blessed be the name of the Lord.
In all this, Job sinned not, nor charged God foolishly.
Right, because his duty, his job was to get Job to curse God.
To literally curse.
Literally curse God. So
Look how Job kids died. It said a wind, a great wind. Who's doing all this?
the adversary. That's right.
He said fire from the Lord came. But that was
That's
fire
right.
from the Lord.
Well, not allowed it. He didn't authorize it, but bro did it.
Time sheet.
Again, there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before
He
the
said
Lord.
again, there was a day where the sons of God did what?
Came to present
Came
themselves.
to present themselves, which means there's a certain time where-
Oh, yeah.
they had to represent themselves. One of the times that these angels present themselves before the Creator is during Shakari.
Yeah.
When Jacob was wrestling that angel, he said, behold, he said, let me go. Because the dawn breaketh. He said, I gotta return back. It's time for me to go. Jacob won't let him go. He said, man, I got this. You gotta bless me first. He said, man, let me go,
I
man.
gotta get out of here.
He said, I gotta get out of here. He went, touched the hollow of his thigh and dislocated it.
He left.
Changed his name from Jacob to Israel
That's right.
and departed.
Yeah.
Don't worry about his name called the supplanter.
Yeah, leave that alone.
Leave that alone. There was no sin found in Jacob.
People made false
There was
stories
no
out of that.
sin found in Isaac. There was no sin found in Abraham. Those three men God did not find no iniquity in them. There was no iniquity found in those three guys. And because of Abraham, of father Abraham, is what caused God to go through with the covenant in his son Isaac, follow through with it with Jacob, and it spread throughout the nation of Israel because of one man. Because Abraham had what we don't have, blind allegiance. He believed God without proof. Just believed him without proof. We as a people, the children of Israel, we needed to have proof. We needed proof.
And that wasn't enough.
And the proof that God showed the children of Israel from the wilderness, that wasn't enough.
You heard the voice.
He said, man, you heard my voice at the grounds of Mount Sinai. He said, you seen my presence incinerating the whole mountain. You seen what I did to this, and this. I gave you water out of a rock.
That's right.
I gave you a water out of the rock. That wasn't enough to strike any type of belief in you. That wasn't enough.
How long did it take?
Time sheet.
And the Lord said unto Satan, from whence cometh thou? And Satan answered the Lord and said, from going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down in it.
To and fro on the earth, walking up and down in it.
And the Lord said unto Satan, hast thou considered my servant Job?
He said again. He said, you don't consider my guy here? You don't consider my servant out here?
There is none like him in the
There's
earth.
none like him in the
A
earth.
perfect and an upright
A
man.
perfect and an upright man. For God to say that about a man,
Bragging on him.
bragging on him. And it's easy to be perfect and upright in these times because even the so-called people that call themselves Israel, they are departing away from God. People think they safe because they keep Sabbath. Come in, you're not keeping the Sabbath correct. Because you got people, when you go to these congregations, you'll see them pick up a broom and start sweeping in the camp. There's no separation. We gotta put a separation between holy and profane, between the holy Sabbath day and the rest of the 6 days. You're not gonna catch me taking out no garbage on Shabbat. I'm not gonna change garbage. If the garbage is full, what hurts you to just leave it there until after the Sabbath day? Does it affects you that much? You can't just leave that garbage full for a couple of hours and then after the Sabbath you can change it. Oh, but it's full. Well, don't worry about it. Leave it there. Leave it there. Ain't nobody. Cover it. Make sure you have 2 bins there with 2 garbage bags. So when one gets full, you close it and use the other one. After the Shabbat, after the Sabbath, then I can start cleaning up and sweeping and changing garbage because the Sabbath is done. But we don't understand that.
That's right.
I don't understand why we can't understand this.
Mm-hmm.
Because believe me, serve our word, just working alone, that's not the only way to profane the Sabbath day.
Right.
That's not the only way to profane the Sabbath day. To profane means to make common.
Mm-hmm.
You made the day common like the rest of the days.
Mm-hmm.
Like the rest of the days. I seen a dude come outside with a broom and a dustpan. The man go by the curve right outside, sweeping the streets in front of the camp. I said, I looked at this guy, I'm like, man, what are you doing? What are y'all doing, man? Are you serious? And this is why we can't excel as a people. Because we continue to do things contrary and opposite to God, and then when someone tell you you're wrong, don't do it, leave it to act. Ain't no sin, I don't transgress. Oh, I told one brother, he said, why are you serving me? Why are you serving me water? God gave commands for the maid servants and the men servants for them to desist and not work. On that day, my maid servants and my men servants ain't serving me. So what makes you think you could serve me? That is serving. You want water? Go get your own water. Go get your own water. Does it hurt that much just to stay away from this just for a couple of hours? The word hekino means to arrange. And you heard the brother said, he said, man, I learned that from you. He said, I learned that from you. He must have had a heavy thought. He must have thought of it later on. Like, yo, you know what, man? That brother could do law.
Yes.
Because he's not stubborn.
Mm-hmm.
He's not a stubborn dude. And if you're right, he don't have no problem agreeing with what is right.
That's it, right?
That's a man that can do law. You can work with these guys, that guy there. Because you hear it, he must have went through, he didn't believe it the first time. And since then, I ain't seen him do it.
was on his mind.
He thought about it. These things are supposed to be arranged and set up from before Shabbat.
Mm-hmm.
The book teaches us how we profane the Sabbath, how not to profane the Sabbath day. You go and these guys be having little conversations about things that happen during the week. When we ain't supposed to be conversating about none of that. Not on Shabbat. We conversate only about what's in the book. Go ahead, read.
And still he holdeth fast his integrity.
He said, and still this guy Job is holding fast his integrity. You know what his integrity is? You know what your integrity is? Firm adherence to a code. Firm adherence to a code, which means he ain't gonna deviate from the code that was set. He gonna stick to it. He ain't gonna deviate from that. So go ahead, read.
Although thou movest me against him to destroy him without cause.
He said, you done moved me against the guy to destroy him without cause. For no reason. You moved me against him. He said, but he's still holding on. He's still holding on.
You ain't have no right to come out.
Tom, see?
And Satan answered the Lord and said, skin for skin, yea, all that a man hath will he give for his life. But put forth thine hand now and touch his bone and flesh, and he will curse thee to thy face.
He says skin for skin. All that a man have, he will what?
He will give for his life.
He will give for his life. Read.
But put forth thine hand now and touch his bone and his flesh, and he will curse thee to thy face.
He said, read.
And the Lord said unto Satan, behold, he is in thine hand, but save his life. So went Satan forth from the presence of the Lord, and smote Job with sore boils from the sole of his foot unto his crown. And he took him a potsherd to scrape himself withal, and he sat down among the ashes. Then said his wife unto him.
Verse what?
Verse 9. Then said his wife unto him, dost thou still retain thine integrity? Curse God and die.
So you still retaining your integrity with God? That's the question she asked him. She said, why are you still holding firm?
You still being faithful and loyal?
Still being faithful and loyal to God. She said, why don't you, she said, curse, bless him. Now the word for curse God is qualel. But when you look it up, it says barek. Now people say, oh, barek means curse and bless. Listen, I'm not listening. From the time I've been reading through Hebrew, Baruch. Or barek, it means to bless
So when you say
or to kneel. She told him, she didn't
bless.
tell him to curse God and die.
No.
She told him to bless God. Bless him and just go on out, man. Go on out.
Give up.
Give up.
Give in.
Give in. That's what you let
yourself just go and die.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
But he said unto her, thou speakest as one of the foolish women
She
speak.
said, man, you speaking like a foolish woman, man. As a foolish woman that speak,
What? Shall we receive good at the hand of God, and shall not we receive evil?
Exactly. Now that is the key.
Right.
This is the key in life.
This guy's easy to accept.
Okay? Trials and tribulations in life. What is included in trials and tribulations in life? Good and evil, ups and downs. If we don't have a down period, then you cannot be proven. If nothing bad or nothing go on evil within your life, then you won't be able to be proven before God. And this is what you call the proving grounds. There's going to come a certain time where God is going to strike you and take away certain things to see your reaction. To see how you react according to these certain instances that went down in your life. Because this, again, is called the proving ground. God wants to prove you. To see if you can withhold and stand and endure.
That's the endure.
To see if you're going to endure. And this is why, see, let me explain something to you. One thing I realized and that I learned is God don't prove of people that is not worthy, that have not made their mind up to serve the Creator or to do His laws. He's going to prove and he's going to come at the ones that has some type of determination to serve God. So the test is coming. The proving grounds is coming for you. But not everybody will witness and experience these type of tests. Because this guy may not have no determination. He don't have the will. He don't have the integrity and the will to push for God. But this guy does. So he leaves you alone. He leaves you alone to your own thoughts, to your own wanting ways. Feed you the stubbornness and the lust of your own heart. But this guy here, he has some type of determination to serve God. So he's not going to give him the lust of his own heart. You got to fight yourself from yourself. Because there's a thing called iniquity that was engraved and sold in the heart of man from the day that Adam ate from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. They never called it a fruit.
Thank you. Or apple.
It was a tree of knowledge of good and evil. It was a tree to make one wise. Like the serpent told her, this tree will make you wise, whether it's good or evil.
That's right.
They didn't know none of that.
Right.
You'll know both. This tree gave you both. This tree of the knowledge of good and evil gave you both sides.
Right.
And that's what God wanted to prevent.
That's right.
He didn't want them with that knowledge. So he gave them a command. Gave Adam a command. He said, well, every tree that's in the garden, he said, may freely eat. But the tree that's in the midst of the garden, he said, don't eat it. In the day that you eat from it, thou shalt surely die.
Mm-hmm.
Eve went and said and told the serpent. Go ahead, read.
And the woman said unto the serpent,
And the woman said unto the serpent,
we may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden.
We what?
We may eat of the fruit of the
We
trees
may
of the garden.
eat of the tree of the fruit of the garden.
But
Now, hold up. Hold up 1 second. Okay? What verse? Where are you at? Genesis 3?
Genesis 3, verse 2.
See, let me explain something to you, man. I did my homework. I already did my homework. It says pakwak. Pakwak means open to general view.
Mm.
That's what pakwak means. And that's what it says in the Hebrew. Pakwak means open to general view. Adam and Eve didn't have general view.
No.
They were open to general view. They were naive and simple.
Mm.
That's what the tree of knowledge of good and evil did. It opened their, gave them a wide spectrum. It enlightened them to other things. It enlightened them to good and bad. Okay? Huh? I'm gonna tell you right now. Verse 5. Verse
God
5.
doth know that in the day ye eat thereof,
Okay?
then
Pakwak. Nik peku. It means open to general view. Okay? Which means he's gonna know both sides. And by them knowing both sides, now I'm able to be good and evil. To where God didn't give them a choice. He made them naive. They didn't know what was good or evil.
No.
They didn't know none of that.
That's right.
Until they ate from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And it wasn't the fruit. Tom Sheep. Yeah, read this.
But of the fruit of the tree, which is in the midst of the garden,
In the midst of the garden,
God said,
ye
shall not eat of it.
He said, ye shall not eat of it,
Neither shall ye touch it.
neither shall ye touch it. You're calling Eve a liar? Are you calling Eve a liar? She didn't, listen, we got to realize something. There was no sin found in Eve until at this point in time, she didn't eat and partook of that knowledge of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. She didn't eat from that. The woman lied. No, she ain't lied.
No.
God told her. She said, God said. Was you there when God told her?
She said, God said.
She said, God said.
Don't eat it, don't touch it.
God said, don't eat it, neither shall ye touch it. Read.
Lest ye die.
Lest ye die.
And the serpent said unto the woman, ye shall not
Now, two things we got to be careful of is our consumption in the things that we eat and the things that we put our hands to and touch. Okay? Tom Sheep.
And the serpent said unto the woman, ye shall not surely die.
He said, oh. He said, you ain't going to die. Uh-huh.
But God doth know that in the day ye eat
What verse you
thereof, verse 5.
Uh-huh. But God knows that in the day that ye eat thereof,
then your eyes shall be open.
Then your eyes shall be open.
And ye shall be as gods.
You're going to be like unto gods, knowing good and evil.
That's the effect.
That's the effect of eating this particular tree. Tom Sheep.
And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise.
Now, where do you think all this took place at? The serpent increased her desire. Yeah. All that got increased. She started desiring and looking at this tree different. Looking at this tree like, what? I'm going to be wise? I'm going to be like God, knowing good and evil. I'm going to know this. I'm going to know the other. Go ahead, read.
And a tree to be desired to make one wise.
Uh-huh.
She took of the fruit thereof and did eat.
Uh-huh.
And gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat.
Uh-huh.
And the eyes of them both were open, and they knew that they were naked.
Uh-huh.
They sewed fig leaves together and made themselves aprons.
Uh-huh.
And they heard the voice of the Lord God.
It said, and the eyes of them both were open, and then knew that they were naked. They didn't know they was naked until they ate from it.
Now they notice it. Now they're aware.
Now they're aware
They're aware.
that what am I doing walking around like this? I gotta cover up. Right? It said they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves aprons. The word for is hagarot, meaning girdles. Girdles, Tamshi.
And they heard the voice of the Lord God walking in the garden in the cool of the day.
You see how close they was to God? Able to perceive when the presence of God is near. They were able to perceive that when the presence of God is near. So when they perceive that the presence of God is near, what they do?
And Adam and his wife hid themselves from the presence of the Lord God among the trees of the garden.
Now, why they hate themselves? They had on girdles. They still cover themselves with girdles, but they still know, man, listen, there's a lot more to cover.
There's a lot more.
I am still naked before God, man.
I can't let him see.
And the guilt in them rolled them. They had guilt, they had shame. Because they, from the time when they ate from the tree of knowledge of good and evil,
that's what comes.
That's what came in with these two guys here. Guilt rolled them. So I know I'm wrong. God already gave me a command and told me to stay away from this tree. And I went and ate it. Now the presence of God is close. Man, let me go hide myself. Tamshi.
And the Lord God called unto Adam and said unto him, Where art thou?
He said, Where you at? Where are you?
And he said, I heard thy voice in the garden.
I heard your voice in the garden.
And I was afraid.
I heard your voice in the garden and I was afraid. They didn't have that. They didn't have no fear and afraid. God didn't have to instill fear in them because they was naive. They were simple. They didn't have good and evil in them. Now they're afraid.
Because I was naked.
Because I was naked.
And I hid myself.
And
he said, Who told thee that thou wast naked?
He said, Hold up. He said, Who in the world told you was naked? I didn't tell you was naked. I made you and formed you with my hands. And you was naive. You didn't know none of this. Just gave you a command. Told you don't mess with that tree. Because that tree is no good. Stay away from it.
Hast thou eaten of the tree whereof I commanded thee that thou shouldst?
Did you eat from the tree that I didn't command you not to eat? Did you mess around with that tree, man? That's the only way you're going to be able to know or to perceive whether you're naked or not.
And the man said, The woman whom thou gavest to be with me, she gave me of the tree, and I did eat.
Now he said, man, hold up, man. He said, the woman that you gave to me, he said, she gave me of the tree, and I did eat. Now notice that the serpent never went to the man. Because you ain't going to be able to persuade and cheat them. In order for Adam to get got, he had to go through his woman. And we got to notice that certain things that go down in life because you hold a certain amount of integrity and strength with God, and that automatic, and the adversary perceive that, so he got to get to you through other avenues. He had to get to Adam through his wife. So now the wife got to be on point. The woman got to be as more or as on point as the husband, because you don't have the strength like unto your husband. You're weaker than your husband. So he gonna come to you, try you, and then use you against your husband to weaken him and penetrate him. That's why God said, stay away from the Moabite woman, the Ammonite woman. Stay away from these crazy women, because those women is going to be the reason of your downfall. That woman that you done took, that have not decided to serve God, is going to be the reason of your downfall. Now you start realizing that you start doing certain things to where if I didn't have this woman with me, it wouldn't have been done. And okay, Tom Street.
And the Lord said unto the woman, what is this that thou hast done?
He said, what to the woman now? He said, what did you do,
What
woman?
did you do?
What you did, man?
And the woman said, the serpent beguiled me, and I did eat.
The serpent tricked her.
He tricked me.
He seduced me. He
always
beguiled
being
me.
She didn't know.
And she was able to be tricked because she
Didn't
was simple. You ever ran into a simple woman?
Yes.
A simple woman that go for everything?
She'd be taking
And
advantage.
a woman like that, she could be taken advantage of.
She don't know.
And that's what Eve, because she wasn't exposed to the streets.
She don't know.
She wasn't
She don't know the
exposed to
tricks.
the games.
She don't know the game.
So when the slickster appeared to her, he got her, flipped her, able to do according to his will. And then when she found out, I didn't know this was a scam. Now I owe $5,000 negative in my bank account. Because I done got scammed and I wasn't hip to the scams. Somewhat like this situation. Eve was not hip to games. This was a simple, innocent, green woman, man. And when the serpent came to her, he was able to change her mind. He was able to change her perspective, her outlook towards certain things. Towards certain things. And that's what took place. That's why she ate from it. She didn't have no evil in her.
No, she did.
I didn't read where God said she had evil in her.
Don't say it.
So why do we put certain situations and certain things in the book that we do not read? Don't tell me Eve was evil if God ain't said she was evil. Don't tell me Adam was evil if you don't read it here. Don't tell me that these men was wrong. Moses was wrong. He should have been. Don't worry about that. We got to stop adding on. We got to stop adding on to the book. Why? You know why we add on? Because that's the way we think. That's the way we think. We add on to certain situations in the book because of how we are, because of the way we think, and so that it can compare to the way you is. No, we got to realize that we got to change certain things with ourselves to be compatible with this. Not the book being compatible to you. Because you ain't nothing before the eyes of God if you ain't serving them with some type of incentive. Come on, man.
No, Adam was perfect, right?
That's
I'm
right.
not gonna give him an evil woman.
That's right.
He made that woman perfect just then.
That's right. The only thing opposite from Adam and Eve was their character, their physical, their character. God ain't gonna make the same being as he created. God ain't gonna make a man to suit another man. He said, man, I looked amongst everything and everything else had its like. Everything had a female, a male and a female. But Adam did nothing towards his like. And he's a male.
Right.
So what God did, God realized that he was alone. He said, man, this guy's lonely. Adam ain't tell God he was lonely. But God perceived that he was lonely. God perceived that. Which means we got to be able to perceive certain things with people without them mentioning it. That's a caring eye. I said, that's a caring eye. That's a caring eye. And that type of eye only leaders and heads and officers have. A true leader have a caring eye for his people.
That's right.
For his people, man. And that's what God had for these two guys that he created for Adam. That's what God had toward Adam. He told him, he said, man, this guy, he said, man, he's lonely, man. He said, let me create something to be compatible. Let me do a thing here, man. Took a rib from Adam, and do we know the rib is the only part of the body that will grow back when it's replaced. The rib grows back. And it's known that it has all the DNA and everything you need to create a human.
The clone.
The clone. That's right. You need that rib.
Blood from the ribs.
That's right. So God took the rib from Adam, made Eve. Kinegdo means his opposite.
His counterpart.
Counterpart. Not the same. He said his opposite, which means we don't have the same characteristics. Man and woman don't have the same characteristics. When you see a woman having the same characteristics as a man, or a man having the same characteristics as a woman, that is no good. Something is off.
That's right.
And that's what's going on now today. Male boys is being born and wanting to be women. Little girls is being born and wanting to be men. And you ain't seeing as much as this. It's great. It's great now. It's great and it's multiplying. Tom, see?
The Lord said unto the serpent, because thou hast done this.
What's that, man? He said, the serpent, man, he said, you started all this. He said, because, read.
Because thou hast done this,
He said,
thou art
because you did
cursed
this, he said, you are cursed.
above all cattle.
Now, the serpent was counted amongst the cattle. God took his legs. God took his legs, man. Now he's on the ground, slithering all over the ground. And they stay angry. They bite anything that comes, anything.
Word.
That's why I could never have a serpent as a pet.
Nah.
I don't know when they're going to turn on me.
That's right.
Tom, see?
And above every.
Because we got to remember, too, God put enmity between her seed and their seed.
That's right. He stayed.
No matter how many serpents you have, there is that serpent is enmity with you. It may not be, but it's enmity there.
That's right.
Tom, see?
Not me.
Thou art cursed above all cattle.
So you cursed above all cattle.
Every beast of the field.
Uh-huh.
Upon thy belly shalt thou go,
Uh-huh.
and dust shalt thou eat all the days of thy life.
Uh-huh.
And I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed.
Uh-huh.
It shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel.
Uh-huh.
Unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy
I will
conception.
greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. Now, when God said replenish the earth by having sexual relations with this woman to raise up seed. That wasn't something to kill you or to be in pain. If God wouldn't have said that, the woman wouldn't be the one. They won't conceive in pain, in agony, and dying during childbirth. But because of what she did, now God increased her conception and her pain during childbirth.
That's why they call it labor pain.
That's right. Tom, see?
And the Lord said unto the serpent, because thou hast done this, and I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed
between
and
your seed and her seed.
It shall bruise thy head,
Uh-huh.
and thou shalt bruise his heel.
Uh-huh.
Unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children,
Uh-huh.
and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee. And unto Adam he said,
Uh-huh.
because thou hast hearkened unto the voice of thy wife, and hast eaten.
Unto Adam, because what?
Because thou hast hearkened unto the voice of thy wife,
Hearken to the voice of thy wife. Uh-huh.
and hast eaten of the tree,
And
of
has
which I
eaten of the
commanded
tree
thee.
of which I
I
commanded
command
thee.
you, he said.
I told you not to mess with that tree. Now, Adam, now you go hearkening to your wife. Can't hearken to your woman for everything. Certain things the woman speaking wisdom, okay, answer it, okay, hearken to it. But you got to be able to discern whether if it's something for me to hearken or it's something that I need to just leave off from. Tom, see?
Of which I commanded thee, saying, thou shalt not eat of it.
Uh-huh.
Cursed is the ground for thy sake. In sorrow shalt thou eat of it.
Curse
all-
the ground for thy sake.
In sorrow.
In
sh-
sorrow
shalt thou eat of it
thou shalt eat of it.
all the days of thy life. Thorns also and thistles shall it bring forth to thee. And thou shalt eat the herb of the field. In the sweat of thy face shalt thou eat bread, till thou return unto the ground. For out of it wast thou taken. For dust thou art, and unto dust shalt thou return. And Adam called his wife's name Eve.
And
because
Adam called his wife's name Eve.
Because
Okay? Read. Go
she
ahead.
was the mother of all living.
Because she was the mother of all living. Right? Go ahead.
And unto Adam also, and to his wife, did the Lord God make coats of skins and clothed linen. And
Coats
clothed
of
them,
skins
and clothed them.
and clothed them. Right? Where's that verse at?
That's verse 21.
And unto Adam also, to his wife, did the Lord God make coats of skin and clothing. Right? Now, he says, God clothed them with robes.
They had girdles.
Robes with girdles on. Okay? Go ahead, read. And the Lord God said, behold, verse 22.
Man is become as one of us,
Right.
to know good and evil.
Man has become as one of us.
God.
As gods, knowing good and evil. That's all what a God, that's all that means.
That's all.
When you know both sides of the coin, he said, man, these guys are like gods. You become
Now
like
they
me.
know.
Now you like me. Now you know. To know good and evil.
And now, lest he put forth his hand and take also of
And
the tree of life
now, read.
and eat and live forever. Therefore, the Lord God sent him forth from the Garden of Eden to till the ground from whence he was taken. So he drove out the man, and he placed at the east of the Garden of Eden cherubims, and a flaming sword which turned every way to keep the way of the tree of life.
Go back to Job.
Chapter 2, verse 10.
Okay.
But he said unto her, thou speakest as one of the foolish women speaking. What? Shall we receive good at the hand of God, and shall we not receive evil?
He says, shall we receive good and we ain't gonna receive no evil? That comes with trials and tribulations in life, like I said, man. Things ain't gonna be always peachy. There's a certain time when evil is gonna step in, and these things is just to prove you with God. That's all this is. But one thing, God don't prove the wicked. God don't prove people that don't have no determination to serve him. Tom, see?
Now, when Job's 3 friends heard of all this evil that was come upon him, they came every one from his own place. Eliphaz the Temanite.
Job's 3 friends, when they heard about it, they came out of their place for Job. Those are his friends. So they came out, said, man, let me go check my man and see what's going on. Read.
Eliphaz the Temanite.
Eliphaz the Temanite.
Bildad the Shuhite.
Bildad the Shuhite.
And Zophar the Naamathite. But they had made an appointment together to come to mourn with him and to comfort him. And when they lifted up their eyes afar off and knew him not, they lifted up their voice and wept. And they rent everyone his mantle and sprinkled dust upon their heads toward heaven. So they sat down with him upon the ground 7 days and 7 nights, and none spake a word unto him.
You know what that is? To sit down 7 days and 7 nights and not say a word, not say one word. Go to Job chapter 4 after you're done reading that.
For they saw that his grief was very great. Chapter 4. Then
Job chapter 4.
Then Eliphaz the Temanite answered and said, if we essay to commune with thee, wilt thou be grieved?
He said, if we essay, if we try or do we make an attempt to commune with you, to speak with you, will it grieve you?
Yeah. Will it bother you?
Will it bother
Are you
you?
in a mood?
They are being considerate. They are being considerate about the position that Job is in.
That's right.
So I don't want to grieve you by doing certain things. So I'm asking. Don't get angry because I asked, because I was concerned. But people get angry and riled up because you asked a question. If I don't ask the question, I would never know if it grieved you or not. So he asked. He said, will it hurt you, or will you be grieved, or do you feel like talking if I commune with you or speak to you or not? These was people that recognized and realized the position that Job was in. And we got to learn to recognize the position that you're in or I'm in. We both are in. And learn and understand that there's a time for everything. Nah, you see what he's going through now? You see how he is? Don't tell him that. Don't bother him. Leave him alone. Have some type of consideration for each other. Because if we don't consider each other, we cannot do these laws. The laws and the commandments and the statutes that God set teaches you to consider one another.
That's right.
Consideration. Tamshi.
But who can withhold himself from speaking?
But who can withhold himself from speaking? Read, go ahead.
Behold, thou hast instructed many. And thou hast-
Behold, he said, you had instructed many people. It
Thou hast-
also means the word for instructed. The word for instructed is hine, yesarta, to instruct, to chastise, to discipline. So you instructed, you chastised, you disciplined a lot of people. He was the corrector.
Right. Job.
Job was the corrector. See, an upright man and upright and a perfect man like unto Job, you're gonna correct. You're gonna chastise. You're gonna reprimand. That's what you feel. That's
what it takes.
you're gonna feel a duty in you to do these things because you are upright with God. And when these people do things to offend God, you feel offended.
That's right.
And that's why you have something to say according to the violations that people have committed. See, a righteous and upright man, Samuel felt offended. Samuel felt very offended when the people asked him to ask for a king. He said, man, you guys don't cherish that God goes in and out before you. He said, man, listen. And that was their
God is doing
excuse.
that,
Man, Samuel, Yoel, and Abiah. These two
They're not
guys
right.
is not following after you, man. And when you see this time Samuel old. So they thinking about it. They said, man, listen here, man. We cannot allow these two guys to be running this here nation because look at these guys. These guys is judging and getting unjust gain and judging in people's favor.
Right.
Nah. Listen, man, let's get a king. So we need a king. But they didn't know. You didn't know that you was offending God. You despised and rejected God by asking for a king. You couldn't realize and recognize that God was the one that went before you. So Samuel felt offended and he cried all night. Cried. God came to him and said, man, don't stop crying. He said, it ain't you that they despise, it's me. I was rejected. He said, go on and give him a king and tell him the manner of a king. Tell him what this king is gonna do. And after Samuel told them, they still asked for it.
We don't care.
They still wanted it. He said, listen here, come on over here. He said, let me show you that what you did was evil in the eyes of God. And that's one thing I realized when thunder came, when you heard that thunder crack, lightning and thunder, that was always represented, that always represented the anger of the Creator. They always use that. He said, man, read.
Thy words have upholden him
Back
that
up. The verse, behold, thou hast instructed many,
and thou hast strengthened the weak hand.
Thou hast strengthened the weak hand. To strengthen, to make strong, to make firm. You have made firm the weak hands or the slack, right? Now, how do I strengthen the hands of a weak person? The only way you can strengthen the hands of a weak person is with words.
Word. Encouraging word.
Encouraging words. So I can weaken you with these words, and I can strengthen you and uplift you with words. That's why you said that certain things. I look at the person, I said, "Man, you should have told him that." Yeah, man, forget that. No, you gotta perceive every situation before you just start blurting out words and talking. I could weaken you with words, and I can strengthen you with words. Tom Street.
Thy words have upholden him that was fallen.
Now, the word for weak, right? You know what that means? Not able to sustain pressure. Can't take too much pressure.
Correct.
There are people that when you add too much pressure, they break.
Lose
And only a head and a leader have to be able to understand that. You got to perceive how much pressure to put on this person so that you don't break them. But you give them just enough pressure to give them a push to do that which was lawful and right. Okay? Not firmly decided. Not firmly decided means I ain't made my mind up. I am that person that's not firmly decided is not determined to serve God because he fluctuates and he shift back and forth. Not able to withstand temptation, persuasion, not grounded, vacillated. Not able to withstand temptation. That's the spirit. Now we into the spiritual realm where your spirit gets tempted to do things that is contrary and opposite to God because you ain't forced to do nothing. Nobody forces you to do this. The suggestion and the thought came to your mind and you react upon it. So it was your choice whether you wanted to do it or not. It was your choice whether you want to back up from it or not. The suggestion and the choice came here first. But in order to protect yourself from certain mental thoughts that comes to your mind, you have to strengthen yourself and grab hold of the strength of God, which is his laws, commandments, and statutes. That's the only way you're going to straighten yourself from the forces without. Able to perceive when he said, "From whence cometh the evil spirit?" See, where this thing came from, where it came about. From whence cometh the evil spirit? That was a question. Tom C, read.
Thy words have upholden him that was fallen.
Thy words have upholded him that was fallen. You know what the word for uphold? It means to support. Your words that you told this guy done supported him. It held him up. It was strengthening words. And the words that you told him is what kept him from falling deeper into that hole.
Snap him out of it.
Snap him right out of it. Tom C.
And thou hast strengthened the feeble knees.
And thou hast strengthened the what?
Feeble
The
knees.
feeble knees, the bowing knees, the bending knees, right? Thou hast strengthened the feeble knees means your words that you told the person didn't strengthen him. He didn't break. Tom C.
But now it is come upon thee, and thou faintest. It toucheth thee, and thou art troubled. Is not this thy fear?
He said, but now it has come upon thee, and thou faintest. You know, faintest meaning you was weary. Weary means exhausted in strength. He's tired, man. He's exhausted. What Job went through and was going through, but he still held his strength in God.
Wow.
He held on.
Wow.
That's right, Tom C.
But now it is come upon thee, and thou faintest. It toucheth thee, and thou art troubled. Is not this thy fear, thy confidence, thy hope, and the uprightness of thy ways? Remember, I pray thee, whoever perished being innocent.
Remember, I pray thee, whoever perished being innocent. Who in the world ever perished from being innocent? No one. Nobody
No
never
one been
perished
destroyed.
from being innocent,
Mhm.
from being righteous,
No.
or perfect with God.
Mhm.
Tamshi.
Or where were the righteous cut off?
Or where were the righteous cut off? Whenever did a righteous man get cut off? When? Tamshi.
Even as I have seen, they that plow
Even
iniquity,
as I have seen, they that plow iniquity, to plow or to devise, right?
Right.
To devise means to form in the mind by ideas or formulated thought or opinion. And we got to learn to channel and watch these thoughts and these opinions and ideas that conjures up in your own mind, know when to depart from it or to act upon it. Not everything that comes to your head, you have to entertain it. Not everything that comes to your head, you gotta entertain it. You gotta be wise enough knowing when to pull away. He said, nah, you know what? I ain't gonna do that. No. You know what? Let me act upon this. You gotta be able to determine those
when
things.
it's time to.
Tamshi.
Even as I have seen, they that plow iniquity,
Even as I have seen, they that plow iniquity,
and sow wickedness reap the same.
That's right.
plow iniquity, and sow wickedness, you're gonna reap the same. The same thing that you done put out, or whatever you put out, is definitely coming
That's
back.
right.
It's gonna come back.
That's right.
It's gonna come back.
Yeah.
Tamshi.
By the blast of God they perish,
Uh-huh.
and by the breath of his nostrils are they consumed.
By the blast of God, they perish. By the breath of his nostrils are they consumed. One strike, you're done. Tamshi.
No, the roaring of the lion, the voice of the fierce lion, and the teeth of the young lions are broken. The old lion perisheth for lack of prey, and the stout lion's whelps are scattered abroad. Now a thing was
Go to Job chapter 6.
The lions, that's
Yeah.
real. Chapter 6.
Uh-huh.
But Job answered and said, oh, that my grief were thoroughly weighed, and my calamity laid in the balances together.
He said, oh, that my grief were weighed. Wait, you don't see why I'm grieving?
Heavy.
It's heavy. And its weight is on the same balance as what I'm going through. It's equal to what I'm going through. This is why I'm grieving and anger and all that is settled in me. Look at me. Tamshi.
Oh, that my grief were thoroughly weighed, and my calamity laid in the balances together.
Uh-huh.
For now it would be heavier than the sand of the sea.
Uh-huh.
Therefore my words are swallowed up.
Uh-huh.
For the arrows of the Almighty are within.
Now, you know what it is when he said thoroughly weighed? It means to assess. To assess means to evaluate the nature or the importance of, especially with a view or a decision and actions to determine, right? Now, when you're weighed in certain balances, when it's talk about certain weight, is to determine your decisions and your actions. When it speaks about weighing me and this and this and this, is to determine your actions.
Were they correct?
Is to determine your decision. What
Right.
decisions and what actions you're gonna take on your own, whether it's evil or good. So that's why God put you through certain things in certain situations to determine your decision. What you gonna decide to do?
How you gonna take that?
How you gonna take this to determine your actions? Uh-huh.
And my calamity laid in the balances together.
Mm-hmm.
But now it would be heavier than the sand of the sea. Wherefore my words are swallowed up. For the arrows of the Almighty are within me. The poison whereof drinketh up my spirit. The terrors of God do set themselves in array against me.
Uh-huh.
Doth the wild ass bray when he
Do the
hath grass?
do the wild ass bray? You know what bray is? It means to give an outcry. Do they give any type of outcry when he had grass?
Nope.
No, they eating.
That's right.
That's what they eat. They got food. So they ain't giving out no outcry. They ain't crying out.
Or lowered the ox over his fodder.
Uh-huh.
Can that which is unsavory be eaten without salt?
Can that
Okay.
which is unsavory
Mhm.
be eaten without salt? No.
Mhm.
Or is there any taste in the white of an egg?
Now, or is there any taste in the white? The word for white is berid. Berid means mucus.
Mucous membrane.
Mucous membrane.
Mhm.
So the white in that egg is the mucous membrane
Yeah,
surrounding the yolk.
yeah.
Right.
Like the water.
Surrounding
That's-
the yolk.
it's the
Like
water.
that's like the water that surrounds the baby,
Amniotic fluid.
the amniotic fluid.
That's right.
And that's what it is.
Mhm.
But you have people that eat eggs.
Mhm.
So it's-
The yellow part of the egg is
whites.
is if you leave that egg underneath that chicken or whatever it is to hatch, it's gonna hatch.
Mhm.
And that's why certain times when you crack the egg and you look at the yolk, sometimes you got blood because the hatching
You
process
see the
started.
vessel. You see the vessel.
That's right. The hatching process
That
started.
white little thing is the eye.
That's right.
The eye.
That's right. And people say, "Oh, you can eat eggs." No, you can't. No, you can't.
That's right.
Time
The
see.
embryo. The things that my soul refused to touch, or as my sorrowful
You
need.
see what came after that?
Mhm.
You see what came after that?
The things that my soul
He spoke
refused
about
to
the
touch.
white of an egg. Next verse, he said, "The things that my soul refused to touch are as my sorrowful meat." Time see.
Oh, that I might have my request, and that God would grant me the thing that I long for. Even that it would please God to destroy me, that he would let loose his hands and cut me off. Then should I yet have comfort. Yea, I would harden myself in sorrow. Let him not spare. For I have not concealed the words of the Holy One. What is my strength?
What
that
is
I
my
should
strength? What is my power that I should hope? Read.
hope? And what is mine end that I should prolong my life? Is my strength the strength of stones? Or is the flesh of brass? Is not my help in me, and his wisdom driven quite from me? To him that is afflicted, pity should be showed from his friend. But he forsaketh the fear of the Almighty. My brethren have dealt deceitfully as a brook, and as the stream of brooks they pass away, which are blackish by reason of the ice, and wherein the snow is hid.
Okay, cut that. Go to
Black ice.
chapter 11.
That's black ice.
Job chapter 11.
Chapter 11. Then answered Zophar the Naamathite, and said, should not the multitude of words be answered?
Should not the multitude of words be answered?
And should a man full of talk be justified?
And should a man full of talk be justified? Justify meaning to prove or show to be just or right or reasonable.
Right.
Whatever you say has to be proved to be reasonable or something to talk about. Right, Reed?
Should thy lies make men hold their peace?
Should your lies make men hold their peace and not say nothing? Read.
And when thou mockest, shall no man make thee ashamed? But thou hast said, my doctrine is pure.
For thou hast said, my doctrine is pure. When you speak about doctrine, it's talking about teachings, your insight, your instructions, your learnings, right? Now, learning means to gain knowledge of, or understanding of, or skill in by study, instructions, or experience. Those are the three things that we learn from. What you study, the instructions that someone told you, or what you experienced. All three goes together. Tamshi.
And when thou mockest, shall no man make thee ashamed? For thou hast said, my doctrine is pure, and I am clean in thine eyes.
Whatever I learned or whatever was taught me, it was pure. It was pure, read. And I am clean in thine eyes, Tamshi.
But oh, that God would speak and open his lips against thee.
Tamshi.
And that he would show thee the secrets of wisdom.
That he will show thee, that he will make clear the secrets, the hidden things of wisdom. If God don't open your eyes to certain things, you ain't gonna see it. And everything has a set time. God knows when the set time to open your eyes towards certain things, when to keep you shut out to certain things, because it's all into
In time.
It's not that time because it's all according to your ways and your actions. You can speed
Speed it
certain things up, and you can reverse certain things up.
Slow it down.
You can slow it down
Stop
with
it.
your actions.
Mhm.
With your actions.
Mhm.
That's why it's very important to remain perfect with God. Because when we violate the laws and the commandments of God, we reverse certain things. Certain things gets reversed in your life
Mhm.
and hold you back
Mhm.
from learning and seeing the hidden things in wisdom that God had. So you're being reversed and pushed back. Because God deal with everybody according to their actions,
Mhm.
according to what they put out.
Mhm.
Tom Street.
And that he will show thee the secrets of wisdom, that they are double to that which is.
That they are double to that which is.
That which is.
Double, twice as much.
Twice as much as what you
Twice as
know.
much than what you know here, man.
You think
You think this is it. You think this is the key, right? No, it's twice as much. I didn't even show you the whole thing yet.
Right.
I only gave you a piece. Tom Street.
Know therefore that God exacted of thee less than
Exacted. You know what it means? To demand. Know therefore that God demands what?
Commands
Of thee what?
Less
Less
than thine iniquity.
than your iniquities deserved.
Mhm.
God demanded less than what you deserve, man. He didn't even give you what you're supposed to get.
Right.
The comparison to what you did. He didn't violate, he didn't come at you that way. He gave you less than the punishment. Less than what you deserve. Because it all stems back into the book of Genesis when God said, he said, I will not strive with man. I will not strive with man for his error. Because this is in the Hebrew pronunciation. He said, I will not strive with man because of his error, for he is but flesh. God realized that man is only flesh now, and we are exposed to both sides. So they're gonna mess up. They're gonna stray. They're gonna err. So I can fuck, because if God strive with you for everything, we dead.
Mhm. Mhm.
So he multiplies his mercy and his pity and his compassion every day.
Mhm.
Multiplies it. Tom C.
Canst thou by searching find out God?
Canst thou by searching find out God? Canst thou by searching obtain God? To attain means to gain or to achieve. Or to achieve. The only way to achieve the ways of God, the only way to attain the ways of God, you gotta study. You gotta read. You gotta study so that you yourself may learn the ways, the going and coming of God. It's all through the book. It's all through the book. Tom Street.
Canst thou find out the Almighty unto perfection?
Can you find out the Almighty unto perfection, unto the end? Tom Street.
It is as high as heaven.
This is as high as the heaven.
What canst thou do?
See how far apart that is? What can you do? Read.
Deeper than hell.
Deeper than hell.
What canst thou know?
Uh-huh.
The measure thereof is longer than the earth.
Longer than the earth.
And broader than the sea.
Broader than the sea. That's the knowledge of God. We'll never learn that. We'll never learn look. Ezra asked certain things. He said, man, you asking things that mortal man is not supposed to be asking. He said, this is the realm of the angels and of God. Only these guys know this. The way to fire. You can't tell me the way to fire.
How much wind
How much the weight of the wind is.
can you grab the water?
He said, but you're not even asking human thoughts.
Right, you way up here.
You asking them. That's why you said, man, you are far and beyond. So you done exceeded and went far and beyond.
Transcended.
Ezra has exceeded and went far and beyond from being a human. He just had a human body.
That was it.
But his ways and the way this man thought, he done excelled past that, man.
He left off the world.
left off the worldly ways and he excelled with God. He excelled so much with God that God had to take him. He said, no. He said, man, you can't taste death, man. I'm gonna snatch you up. Snatched him. Now when God took him, look, before God took him, the desire that humans desire, he didn't have none of that. He didn't desire no woman. He didn't want to go into a woman. He wasn't eating no more. He didn't want to, he left all from his wife and his kids to push for God.
He didn't dwell with them anymore.
Yeah.
He told his captain, get away from him.
Yeah.
He was by himself.
Time sheet.
Yeah. If he cut off and shut up or gather together, then who can hinder him?
If he what? What verse is that? Oh, I see. Go ahead. If he cut off and shut up or gather together,
then who can hinder
who can
him?
stop him?
Stop him.
Who can stop God from doing and performing his will?
That's right. Nope.
This is the will of God. You can't stop that. Tom, see?
Well, he know it, vain men.
He knows vain men.
He see it.
And he knows the ways of a vain
That's
man.
right. He knows the way.
And the book teaches you the ways of a vain man.
Uh-huh.
The way of the way that vain man thinks, their thoughts, their actions, and what to consider or to know what is vain. God said, I know vain men, Tom C.
He see it wickedness also.
Now the word for vain is nabab. It means foolish. For vain man would be,
Well, you know what it vain men.
for you know what vain men,
He see it
he
wickedness.
see it wickedness,
Will he not then consider it?
or
That's
will he not then consider it? He said, for vain man will be wise.
Though man,
Now, the word for vain is nabab, means a foolish or a hollow. Right? And he said a foolish man would be wise. I could be wise and still foolish.
that's right.
It's still foolish. And I slip right back into my wisdom. Right? Now the word hollow, it means nabab means hollow or foolish, lacking in real value or significance. Right? Your value is what? Your principles. Your value is your principles and the quality that a man have in him. The quality is a peculiar essential character, your nature, a distinguishing attribute, inherited characteristics belonging to nature or settled habits. Your settled habits are your habits and what has become habitual is your practices. So God was very specific in the law that he said, don't follow in the practices of the heathens. He said, practice in this. And by us practicing in the laws of God, then in time it will become habitual. In time it will become your nature. But in order for these laws to become a nature of you or habitual, I can't keep back and forth, going back and forth with the law. You don't see how so basically you have to break yourself in doing these laws for a certain period of time. Then when you do this thing of such long, then it'll be like counter clockwork. It'll be like automatic. I get unclean, automatically I know to go wash. Automatically I need to wash the sheets that the semen has touched. That's automatic because now it's become a part of me because I've been doing it for such a long period of time. Certain things supposed to bug you and nudge your mind. Certain things supposed to bug you when it ain't being done. You shouldn't feel okay or all right or comfortable doing or breaking these laws. Why we feel comfortable breaking them is because it hasn't been a practice and it hasn't been habitual to you.
Right.
What verse we at?
Verse 12.
Right? Okay, go ahead.
For vain men would be wise, though man be born like a wild ass's colt.
Uh-huh.
If thou prepare thine heart.
If you prepare your heart, if you make your mind up, if you prepare your heart, if you make your mind up, make your mind up. And that's the key right there. We got to make our mind up whether we want to serve God or not. Whether I want to go off to the idols of my fathers or stick with God. Like Joshua told him. He said, man, you cannot serve the Lord. He said, but he's a what? He's a just God, a holy God.
That's right.
A holy God.
He said, he will consume you for all your
And
sins.
he will consume you for all your iniquities. He said, man, the God you serving and you talking about, he ain't gonna
Pardon you for your sins.
he ain't gonna pardon you. Look, he said you cannot serve the Lord, for he is a holy God. He's a jealous God. He will not forgive your transgressions nor your sins. But if you forsake or abandon God and serve strange gods, then he will turn and do you hurt and consume you after that he had done you good. Right after he had done you good, he turned and do you hurt, man. Why? Because you forsake him. You forsook him. You abandoned him. You abandoned his laws. Time, see?
If thou prepare thine heart,
If you make your mind up,
and stretch out thine hands towards him.
the only way to stretch out your hands towards God is to pray.
Make it clear.
Okay? The only way to stretch out your hands towards God is by prayers. Now, your hand ain't stretched out like this or like this.
Make it clear.
That's not stretched out. Your hand stretched out has to be stretched out. And that
Fully
this
extended.
is the posture of Hebrews when we are praying to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Or you may kneel. But your hand must be
Your
stretched
hands must
out
be stretched.
towards heaven as a man that's swimming. Nothing I say, I'm saying off the side of my head. Everything I say, you can show you in the book.
That's right.
They didn't pray no other way. They didn't go on one knee and then start praying. And then another thing, they didn't say prayers that was not of David.
Okay.
And that was in what? Second Chronicles?
Second.
They said prayers with the Psalms of David, which means don't go before God making up your own prayers. If you make up a prayer, make sure you use different wordings that was from here.
Same lingo.
Use the same wording.
Wording.
I can use and put together a prayer. I can put together a prayer, but I'm not going to put together a prayer of my own mind. I'm going to go in certain psalms and pick out certain psalms and certain words, put it together, put it as one. And that's a good prayer because I use the words of David. I use these people words who was chosen and elected of God. See, one thing we need to realize is that these people were chosen by God.
That's right.
These people were inspired of God. When the inspiration of God came upon David, he sat down and wrote songs of praise to God. Man, you mean to tell me you can't perceive that this man was inspired of God? Writing all these songs? And it was accepted.
Yes.
Everything, each one of these songs that David wrote was accepted of God. Was accepted of God. So what that tell you? I'm sorry. I'm not coming up and writing up no prayer if it ain't the words of my forefather David. Go ahead, read.
If thou prepare thine heart and stretch out thine hand towards him.
Okay, I see.
14. If iniquity be in thine hand.
If iniquity be in thine hand,
put it far away.
Put it far away. Don't stay there and linger with these atrocious thoughts, and then you end up getting captured in the ways of iniquity. You've got to be able to discern when wickedness is coming. When the evil coming, this is evil.
You gotta identify.
You gotta be able to identify it quick and eject it quick, because you will get consumed.
Right.
That thing, you let it linger and linger and linger, you get consumed.
It suck you right in.
It sure was.
Then after you get on done got sucked in, now you're like, man, what did I do?
Mhm.
What did I do? What did I do? What did I do? What did I do? It's too late.
Did it.
Mhm.
It's too late. You already did it. Now I'm an inch away from God.
Mhm.
A couple miles. I done got pushed back
Mhm.
and put a stopper on and put a block on myself towards certain things. Now you don't have the desire like before. And people realize, look, man, I notice certain things with myself, man. That my desire for God has been depleting. I've been backing up from doing certain things that God likes. What's causing me to back up? What's causing me to be pushed away? You gotta be able to watch these things and discern these things, man. Because everything that I'm speaking about, we call it upon our own selves with the works of our own hands. Tamshi,
If iniquity be found in thy hand, put it far away, and let not wickedness dwell in thy tabernacle.
let not wickedness dwell in thy tabernacles, in your tents, in your dwelling place. Which means a person ain't on the same wave with you, according to pushing towards God. We can't live together. I'm not living with you. You gotta, first of all, agree with this first before we begin to be any type of dwelling together or any of that happen. You gotta agree with this and follow the rules.
That's right.
Tom, see?
That's right.
For then shalt thou lift up thy face without spot.
But then, when we read, listen, you see, look, a moral stain. He said, then we'll be able to lift up our faces without blemish, without a spot. Okay? Because when we turn away from iniquity, it keeps us without blemish. It keeps us without defect. Because iniquity has a defective is a defective thing. It defects your spirit. It leaves an opening in your spirit, which allows evil and wicked thoughts forward thoughts that is against God to come here. And now you are not straightened and you don't have that firmness and you ain't stable in God to reject it. I don't have the strength to reject it because I've been sinning, because I've been transgressing. So now, it said, but then shalt thou lift up thy face without spot.
You put iniquity for it.
Right? Lift up your face without spot. What happens when you lift up your face? Well, I notice when most men in the book, when they lift their face up, they're in prayer. He said, you lift up your face and look up to God with your hands spread forth. This is why we refrain and restrain from prayer, because you got too much defects. You have a lot of defects in your spirit, a lot of blemishes, which refrains you from praying. From praying. And then you have some that do pray, and still got defects, but God ain't hearkening to you because you ain't accepted. You are doing things that is contrary and opposite to what God says. Which is allowing you not to be accepted of God. So if God don't accept you, He's not going to accept your offering. He's not going to accept your prayers. He's not going to accept nothing from you. Tom Street.
Yea, thou shalt be steadfast and shalt not fear, because thou shalt forget thy misery, and remember it was waters that pass away. And thine age shall be clearer than the noonday. Thou shalt shine forth. Thou shalt be secure, because there is hope. Yea, thou shalt dig about thee, and thou shalt take thy rest in safety. Also thou shalt lie down, and none shall make thee afraid. Yea, many shall make suit against thee, but the eyes of the wicked shall fail, and they shall not escape, and their hope shall be as the giving up of the ghost.
That it?
Yeah.
Okay. Go to go to Job chapter 31. Yeah, go to 31.
I made a covenant with mine eyes.
I made a covenant with mine eyes. I made a covenant with myself, an agreement with myself that what?
Why then should I think
He
upon a
said, why
maid?
then should I even think upon a maid? Huh? A betula. A betula is a virgin. Read.
For what portion of God is there from above?
Uh-huh.
And what inheritance the Almighty from on high?
Uh-huh.
Is not destruction to the wicked,
It's not destruction, calamity, misfortune to the wicked, to the one that do wrong. Uh-huh.
and a strange punishment to the workers of iniquity.
Uh-huh.
Doth not he see my ways?
Does not he see my ways? God is watching your ways. If your ways is acceptable, has to be acceptable by God. Has to my ways gotta, our ways gotta be acceptable by God. And your ways, the one thing that cleans your ways is by reading and adhering to what God says, to these laws. Okay, Tom C.
Doth not he see my ways and count all my steps?
Does not he see my ways and count all my steps? To count means to consider, to estimate. To estimate means high regards. Esteem means high regards to your course. Your steps goes into your course. Your ways, your characteristics, your habitual manner, custom procedure, your normal actions. God is watching your ways and the actions that you took in life, whether it's correct or not, whether it's good or evil. Tom Street.
If I have walked with vanity,
If I have walked with vanity, how can you walk with vanity? How can you walk with vanity? Being vain, or you got a pal here that's vain. Once the dude is vain, or I'm vain, those are things that I need to get away. One thing that with our forefathers, if a dude was evil and was against God, they didn't walk with you. They left you to yourself. Because I want to see how can two walk together except there be agreed. You must be in agreement with this guy here. You must be in agreement with this dude here. Tom C.
or if my foot had hasted to deceit,
Or if my foot hasted to deceit, read.
let me be weighed in an even balance,
Let me be weighed in an even balance.
that God may know mine integrity.
That God may know my integrity. His firm adherence to a code of a special morals or artistic values. Your artistic values is your worth. Tom C.
If my step had turned out of the way,
If my steps, if my goings had turned out of the way,
and my heart walked after mine eyes,
and my heart walked after mine eyes, by whatever you done saw, increased your desire, and now you're going after it. Tom C.
and if any blot had cleaved to mine hands,
Any blot, a blot is what? A blemish. A blemish is a flaw. A flaw is weakness in something. Immaterial, a defect, something defective.
weakness in spirit.
Right? Now, immaterial are things that
You can't see a hole.
that have no physical form
No, it's the spirit.
or are unimportant, something that doesn't matter or has no physical substance. Physical substance. What is physical substance? It has no life. It's dead. But this is what your heart has turned away from. You have a desire for things
that has no
No life.
physical substance, no life.
No life.
Now we realize and see why God says, stay away from images, stay away from likenesses.
Mhm.
It's a reason why God gave us these laws. And when you read in the history, it explains certain laws of why God says stay away from it. But yet, we continue to do and follow our own wanton ways.
Right.
Oh God, I ain't worshiping it. God said don't have it. He said don't have it. Don't make it to yourself. We shouldn't have it. If you can't make it to yourself, means you can't have it. Well, I ain't praying to it. Well, God never said anything about praying
He
to
don't
it.
want you to have.
He said you should not make to yourselves a graven image or a likeness of anything. Also said Timuna. He said nothing about worshiping it. He said, see, God means don't worship. No, that's what you mean. That's what you're saying.
That's right.
God never said that or voiced certain things. You are just trying to change the word of God to fit you, your convenience.
So corrupt yourself and make a graven image.
That's it. That's it.
That's right.
Tom Street.
Then let me sow and let another eat.
Let me sow and another man eat. Let me plant and I don't even get to enjoy what I plant. Someone else is consuming it. Tom Street.
Yea, let my offspring be rooted out.
To be exterminated.
Then
Rooted out means to be exterminated. Put out. Tom Street.
If my heart had been deceived by
If
women,
my heart had been pata, pe, tau, hey, means foolish. Foolish means what? Loss of composure. That's when you become foolish, when you lose your composure. Okay? Or you start doing foolish things, right? If my heart had been foolish by a woman,
or if I have laid wait at my neighbor's door,
or I had been laid wait or ambushed at my neighbor's door,
then let my wife grind unto another.
let my wife grind to another. If I did these things, allow my wife to be grind to another.
And let others bow down upon her. For this is a heinous crime. Yea, it is an iniquity to be punished by the judges.
Yeah, certain iniquities, yes, are to be punished by judges. And some iniquities, God handles it.
That's right.
Certain things is not in the book for man to handle.
Right.
Certain things, God handles it immediately.
Right.
Tom Street.
For it is a fire that consumeth to destruction,
Uh-huh.
and would root out all mine increase.
Uh-huh.
If I did despise the cause of my
If I
manservant,
despise or rejected the cause of my manservants, because the manservants may have a problem or something to say, and they come and people come to you with problems, and I don't want to deal with. No, sometimes you gotta hear the problem or hear the matter out. Tom C.
if I despise the cause of my manservant or my maidservant, when they contended with me.
When they contended with me, read.
What then shall I do when God rises up?
You hear his mentality? If I despise or I rejected the cause of my manservant or maidservant, when they strive to contend with me with words, come to me with matters, what am I going to do when God has rised up and when he visit? What shall I answer? So basically, if you want a certain reaction from God, I have to give it and allow certain reactions with people in order to get certain reactions from God. I will handle certain situations with people in order to get a certain reaction from God. That's what that means. How am I looking for a certain reaction from God and I can't emanate it and show this with mortal flesh, with people that come before me with certain things? Your actions determines how God is going to deal with you. Tom Shee.
Did not he that made me in the womb make him?
Did not he that made me in the womb make him? He said, man, we both is the same. God made us all. God made me and he made him. He said, man, listen, I got to deal with this man in a certain way because we are looked at in the eyes of God the same.
That's right.
I can't deal with this guy in a certain manner and expect God to deal with me different than the way I dealt with him.
Mm-hmm.
Tom, see?
And did not one fashion us in the womb?
Uh-huh.
If I have withheld the poor from their desire,
If I had withheld the poor from his desire, the poor comes around you, need food, they hungry. Their only desire is to eat some type of sustenance. And I withheld the poor from their desire, or had caused the eyes of the widow to fail.
I have eaten my morsel myself alone.
Or have eaten my morsel alone.
And the Father,
You come, you the only one eating. Everybody else sitting around.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta be able to offer, hey, you want something to eat?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, take this here. And make sure everybody eat.
Right.
I can't be the only one eating in front of people and they ain't eating.
Mm-hmm.
And you ain't gonna go in the room and snack.
Mm-hmm.
Say, man, you know, I ain't gonna eat in front of them, but you eating.
still eating.
Go and see if this guy's hungry or someone else want. Tom, see?
Or have eaten my morsel of myself alone,
Uh-huh.
and the fatherless have not eaten thereof.
And the fatherless had not eaten thereof.
For from my youth he was brought up with me,
Uh-huh.
as with a father, and I have guided her from my mother's womb.
Mm-hmm.
If I have seen any perish for want of clothing, or any poor without covering,
Go back to that verse.
for from my youth he was brought up with me.
For from my youth he was brought up with me. Who? The fatherless. Uh-huh.
As with a father,
As with a father.
and I have guided her from my mother's womb.
Uh-huh.
If I have seen any perish for want of clothing, or any poor without covering, if his loins have not blessed me, and if he were not warmed with the fleece of my sheep, and if I have lifted up my hand against the fatherless, when I saw my help in the gate, then let my arm fall from my shoulder blade, and my arm be broken from the bone. For destruction from God was a terror to me, and by reason of his highness I could not endure.
What verse you at?
Verse 24.
Uh-huh.
If I have made gold my hope, or have said to the fine gold, thou art my confidence.
You don't got trust in God. When you do that, there's no trust in God. You open your money in what you have. But you don't have no trust in God to believe that God will get you out of a situation without money, without a lawyer. All right? And with that, I'm going to cut that short. And I'm going to say Shemini Atzeret Shalom. And I'm going to call up our next speaker, teacher indeed, Chief Mika Ben Level.
Giving all praises to the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob. Giving all praises to the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob. Giving all due respect to my father, my teacher, and the leader, Chief Eleazar Ben Dodo. To the Chief Ben, Prince Men, mothers in Israel, brothers and sisters, I bid y'all tell them, oh, Shabbat Shalom. Shemini Atzeret Shalom. Shemini Atzeret. Shemini means 8. The word 8 is the 8th day. On this 8th day, we have a holy convocation. It's the ending of a feast that's ordained and commanded by God.
Right.
We stress vehemently to only keep that which is commanded in the book of the law that is in the Old Testament. Because you will go off.
That's right.
You don't have to become a heathen during the day. You will still say, oh man, the Lord, I know that God is God, Lord is Lord. He's the only one. But you are doing things and saying things that's not in the book. First, we go to Genesis. Let's go to the beginning real quick. Go to Genesis. We'll go to Genesis real quick. This is the only book that has an account of the creation of what humans call the universe.
Mm-hmm.
The verse of the universe. That's everything that exists.
Mhm.
That means everything that God has made.
Mhm.
Plain and simple. We gotta go back to the beginning of this thing here because a lot of things has been added. It says in the beginning of what? In the beginning of not man, not even man. Man ain't start yet. So in the beginning
Genesis
of what?
1?
Genesis 1. In the beginning of what? Of God creating. In the beginning of God's
Bara.
the beginning.
It's that was established.
So the thing was, nothing was established before this time. Okay? Read.
In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth.
Uh-huh.
And the earth was without form and void.
Uh-huh.
And darkness was upon the face of the deep.
Uh-huh.
And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the
It
waters.
said it was without form,
Uh-huh.
meaning it wasn't in reality. It didn't exist. It
Mm-hmm.
didn't have a shape. The place where the earth is now,
Uh-huh.
it wasn't there then. It was empty.
Right.
There was nothing there. There was nothing, no say, well, this is the spot. There was no spot. There was no place to put it there. It didn't exist.
Right.
That's why it's letting you know the earth was without form and void,
Uh-huh.
right? It says empty. Okay?
That's right. And God
Yeah.
said, let there be light, and there was light.
And God said, let there be light, and there was light. Well, it said the earth was without form and void. Void means what?
Mhm.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Nothingness. Now we gotta be careful about the translations in the Hebrew, because one of the translations says chaos. Okay,
Right.
okay. It said the earth was without form.
Form and void.
It means it was without chaos. It was without order.
Right,
It was
right.
without chaos. It was without a wilderness. So you gotta understand the meanings when you read in the Hebrew.
That's
Because
right.
brothers are reading in the Hebrew, but you have to understand and perceive what you are reading.
Mhm.
It says, and the earth was without form. The word in the Hebrew for form
It's tohu.
is tohu. Tohu means formlessness. It has to have a shape for it to be in existence.
That's right.
It has to have a shape. That's why God said you didn't see my shape.
Yeah.
Okay?
Mhm.
That's why God said you didn't see my similitude. You will be able to see how I'm shaped.
Mhm.
Moses was able to see what God's form was from the back.
That's right.
So there was nothing in shape at that time.
Mhm.
There was no confusion. It said without confusion. The earth was without confusion. Why? Because there was no earth there yet. Okay? It was empty.
Emptiness.
Okay.
That's right.
It was nothingness, empty space.
Uh-huh.
And then it says a place of chaos.
Uh-huh.
There was no place of chaos. Okay? So people read that part and say chaos. You don't know what chaos means, disorder.
That's right.
When evil and wickedness is not put in line and checked.
Mhm.
When there's no discipline or order. You understand?
Right.
That's what it means.
Mhm.
So the earth houses chaos, confusion, disorder.
Mhm.
Right or wrong?
That's right.
So this place didn't exist for that to happen.
Mhm.
All right? It
That's
said,
right.
and darkness was upon the face of the deep. The deep is the waters. Because in the next sentence it says, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. He hovered over it. He lingered over it.
Uh-huh.
What we say, fly over. When you hover over something, you're over it. You have been levitated over it. So it was nothing but water and darkness.
Mhm.
That's right.
That's it. And God moving over the face of the water. And the deep means it's emptiness. It's, you keep going, and so you're going to get is darkness and water. So wherever direction, there was no such thing as direction. There was no north, south, east, and west, because the earth had to be established for you to get direction and get time and get all these things. This is what God created.
See,
So it's an order how these things went down.
look what chaos means.
What do you mean?
The formless matter supposed to have existed before the creation of the universe.
See, they put that in there because it goes against what it says.
It goes against what it says.
Without form. So it says formless matter. There's no such thing as formless matter.
Right.
Even black matter has a form. You will see it. What's that stuff there? You will be able to tell the difference from it on the wood. This floor is wood. That's matter. They need to stop playing. Stop playing with this book. Stop playing. It says the earth was without form and void. So it didn't have whatever they say in chaos is. Leave that alone.
Right.
Nothing was there but water and darkness. It says it,
That's right.
right? And it said God moved over it. He said, and God said, let there be light. And there was light.
It was not.
There was nothing that had to happen. See? God said, oh, I'm going to make something. Then I'm going to call it light. No, as he said, let it appear. The name was given to it. Everything was given a name as God created it.
Right.
The instant that God said his name, it appeared. Yeah, it just came out of nowhere. There was no sun.
No.
There was no stars. There was no flashlights. There was no combustion of gases because there was no form. There was no molecules. No nothing to, no friction to get heat was not here yet. All the things that you look in the heavens and see was not there. It didn't exist. But light. Now we got light.
Right.
We got water, the darkness, now light. And light, we leave that alone. How it formed, from where it came from. It said, and let there be light, and there was light. That's it.
God got the power of
It just
spoken
popped
word.
up.
And it just came out.
And where it presented itself before God.
That's it.
I always said, let there be light. God commanded that light become light in existence.
See, created.
Whatever God said was light, that was what
You know
it
what the
became.
definition of created means? To bring into
Existence, something that didn't exist.
Something that never existed.
So that's why everything was without
That's right.
form and void. It means it didn't exist. Because you can't, according to science, you can't have a matter without shape.
Right.
So that definition has been put there.
That's right.
That definition has been put there later because it does not go with what tohu means.
That's right.
And see that this is look. It says a place of chaos, right? That's
Right.
the fourth meaning that really don't mean too much. The first meaning, formlessness, unreality, emptiness. It didn't exist. If this is not in reality, mean God didn't create it. It don't exist. Right?
Right.
So God said, let there be light, and there was light. Light pop up. And God saw the light.
That it was good.
God, look, he liked it. He was content with it. He was satisfied with it. That's what it means by it was good. It was accepted to exist by God. Right? And God divided the light from the darkness. He said, okay, light is everywhere, darkness everywhere. He made a division. He made a division. He said, you light, go here, you darkness here. He separated it. God is always separating. You notice that?
That's right.
He's about separation.
That's right.
He's not about things being scattered.
That's right.
So if he scattered Israel, you know Israel was really messed up because he told them, don't mingle your seed, don't go after their gods, don't marry into them, don't accept them in your hierarchy, in your kingdom. All these things, God likes to keep things, and that's what you call order.
That's right.
Whatever God says separate from, you keep yourself separated from. And if you are a household ruler, you do the same thing with everyone that's under your household.
Mhm.
Because you ain't gonna live in an all church house.
No.
You're gonna have to go, and you not the one that run the house. You're gonna have to find somewhere. They're gonna tell you, and that's family. They say, well, look, man, you gotta find somewhere else to live.
Right.
Look, I can't blow the shofar today in somebody else's house. They say, remember, I'm supposed to go, but that's not my house. They're gonna say, look, man, you can't get up in the morning doing this, man. We be sleep. I gotta get ready for work. Right now, people going to work, people in school. They're not, I can't stay home and do none of this. This is the sacrifice what was being done, because the reason why I say that is because the system has designed everything according to the heathen way of life. Everything, your work hours and your days you go off and on is according to the weekends and their holidays.
Right.
And the weekends because of Sunday. So you're gonna have a hard time a lot with these people, it's even Jewish people, with the jobs, with interviews, doctor's appointments. You always gotta be mindful with these people. Say, hold on, what date? Hold on for a minute, check the date. But this day, man, that day is on Sukkot, man. We can't do it on that day. We have to do it. Give me a day, the day after or 2 days after. I'd rather deal with this after,
That's right.
not before.
That's right.
Unless it's an emergency or something like that, then we gotta take care of that. God does give us wisdom. How you gonna die foolishly? How you gonna live his laws and die foolishly?
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? That's why he told him, man, they come up in there on the Shabbat to fight you and kill you. Fight.
Right. That's right.
These guys are what? He said what? Over holy. You know what that means? You separated from what God ain't tell you separate.
That's right.
You doing over. You
Going
went
over.
over. You can't do that. So God separates things. He separated the light, and that it was good. He divided the light from the darkness. And God called the light what?
Day.
Day.
And darkness
That's
he
the
called-
light. That's what break the dawn. The sun don't do that. You think it's the sun, but there's a light that come before the sun come out.
That's right.
And there's a light that be there after the sun go down.
That's right.
That's why you can't wait till the sun go down
To start
to
the day.
start the Shabbats.
That's right.
That's why. Because that light was there already. And I done did many all-nighters. Out of state New York, in the mountains, you high ground. And you see light pop up. You don't see no sun.
Right.
Then, out of the horizon of the earth, as far as your eyes can see, you see the sun coming up. It came out of this tent. It came out of this tabernacle. It has a place. It has a place that it goes.
That's
There's
right.
a book called the Book of Enoch that explains all of it. And it breaks down how many months we're supposed to have. We're not supposed to have 12 months in a year.
No.
All that secular and the moon calendar, sun calendar, secular calendar, all that stuff is garbage. It's garbage. God told Moses when to start counting the months. And they already had the months that they were going by in the wilderness. Man, heathens added on these things. They added on these days. He called the light day, and the darkness he called night. Okay, he gave them names. The daytime and the nighttime. And the evening, God set the standard of all creation. He didn't just create things and just let it go by. He standardized it. He put order to it, right? He said, in the evening and the morning were the first day. So the first day that was created, the thing that was created, that God created, we used to get tests from our imam about stuff like this, right or wrong. He said, what did God create the first day?
Light. That's right.
Light. He said, what did he do on the first day? Oh, he divided the light from the darkness, because the darkness was there already. The Darkness was, but mind you, the
Mhm.
darkness was there already,
Thick darkness.
and it didn't have a name yet.
No.
We leave that one alone.
Darkness, right.
You leave that alone. You see? Because now he got light, he got a difference. Didn't need a name then. Now, we call it darkness to identify with it. We can't identify with something that wasn't here before we wasn't here. Certain things are put in this book and given a name so we would identify and know, get a sense of what is being said. Well, man.
Verse
Okay,
6.
so it said the evening and the morning
The first day.
make the first day. So the day starts with the evening.
And
So tonight, when the evening comes, it begins a new day
Mhm.
until
not darkness.
No, evening, which is still light. And later on in Nehemiah, it says when the shadow is cast.
That's right.
And the only time I know,
close the gate.
the experience of my life, the only time the shadow,
It's going
you don't really see your shadow until the sun is about to go down.
the horizon.
When it's in the west going low, and you look, you standing up here, your shadow 13, 14 feet.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like that when the sun was on the top,
No.
on the morning time. You don't get that effect at dawn, early in the morning when the sun come out and shining.
Mm-hmm.
Your shadow don't cast like that,
Mm-hmm.
but it does in the sunset. So
Right.
that's the time. That means it's not dark yet. That's the day. The sun's rays, it ain't penetrating no more, but you still have that light. That's how you know, the sun about to come up,
Mm-hmm.
right? Is it up yet? You say it's about to.
Mhm.
So that's what God did. He said night and day. And that's the first day. And God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. Now, the face of the deep, that's the waters. That means it was endless, it was limitless. There's no how long, how deep it is, or how high you could go. Well, however high it was, God was over it.
Yeah.
That I know. God is very huge, very big, very huge, big, beyond our imagination. Trust me. Because the waters, we look at space. It looks like it goes on and on and on,
Mm-hmm.
right?
That's right.
But it did have a point to where God was over it.
Mm-hmm.
So he said he took the firmament, what we call space,
Mhm.
because that's all it is.
Mhm.
Space didn't, and that space isn't air.
Mhm.
It's not air. You don't know what that is.
Uh-huh.
He just made space so he could make a division between the waters from up top and the waters in the bottom. Now you got waters up here and you got waters here.
Mhm.
He's saying, let it divide the waters from the waters. So all that space, thousands of light years of space and all that.
Water.
There's water. You're going to there's a part where there's water. And that's the part that's under. And you got mist of the waters, and you got waters over.
Mm-hmm.
Ain't no telling how many light years that is.
Mhm.
So God's sitting on his throne above all of that, and his foot reached the earth. Like I said, how big is it? How big is that? Man, the creation, they said it was a big bang.
Hmm.
It wasn't a big bang.
Mhm.
These things appeared.
Mm-hmm.
And after the creation and everything is in its place and everything's working, then you had big bangs. You know what that is? The land growing and seeding itself. Okay? These things were going. It kept going.
Mhm.
God didn't tell the light. The light had a division and had a set time when to come out and a set time when to come in. The
Mhm.
nighttime, the darkness had a set time and a set time.
That's
They didn't
right.
just come there and then science took over. No,
Mhm.
God set the order for everything. So you want to read this, read it in the mindset that God is the creator and he set this in order. There was nothing before. If this said this was the first time this was done, don't try to look before this and say, oh, no, but this had to be, well God, what about the water? Where the water came from? Mind your business. Ask God that.
That's right.
That's why I tell them, when he asks me questions like that, I said, when you go home, bend your knees to God and you ask him that. Don't ask me that. All right? I go by what it say. If it don't say nothing further, I leave it at that.
That's
right.
That's how he wants us to be. That's why they failed in the wilderness.
Looking for more.
Looking for what?
Looking for more.
Looking for more.
What
I'm not satisfied with the answer you give me, God. I'm not satisfied. And that's our dirty ways. Because it doesn't feed me for what I want to do or what I like. It doesn't feel right to me. And that's what God has been talking about to them and now. That's why we got to leave this the way that all my life we read this and it's the way it's read. Now I'm hearing a whole bunch of other stuff. I'm hearing a lot of stuff that's not in here. Okay? It said, where am I at? 7.
Verse 7. And God made the firmament and divided the waters. Divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament, and it was so. And God called the firmament heaven.
He called it heaven.
And the evening.
People call it space.
Yeah.
They call it the universe.
Firmament is space.
But God said that's the heaven.
Right.
That space is the heaven. He gave it a name. And it's vast.
That's
The
right.
heavens, he said the heavens and the heavens and the heavens cannot contain your name alone. You too big for the heavens, for that space to contain you.
That's right.
It's too big. You'll crack the heavens. He's above the heavens. That's what it said when their prayers reach and pierce what? The heavens to get to who? God.
That's right.
So that's very vast. And that's why man talking about they fixing you fixing rocket ships and you gonna go up there. Yeah, they got off the earth. They don't know, but they don't know where they've been landing on. You say it's the moon, but you don't know what it is. You say it's an asteroid, but you don't know if that's the moon. You don't know what you're doing when you're going up there. And I read in one book, it said Esau, well, out of all the nations on earth, this guy makes his nest amongst the stars. That ain't no mountaintops. That's up there. So yeah, they're going to get up there. But God said, yet I will bring thee down. There'll come a time when your sins and your iniquities and your ways of your nation and people will catch up with you. You're not going to be able to escape the iniquity here on earth. You're not going to be able to escape the destruction. That's what they're doing, trying to get up there and escape and colonize a habitable planet. That's what they're looking. Don't you see on the news? Yeah, they found a new planet, H1K1. And the one that they found, I look at it, it's big. It looked just like this planet, green and blue, meaning a lot of greenery, a lot of vegetation, a lot of water. I don't see no clouds, no storms, no storms, no signs of destruction. They say, yo, we gotta get there. You see, God made the heavens and he made a lot of things in it. There's a lot of things God made beside the earth that is not recorded here in these chapters. That's what you gotta leave alone. And see, man is trying to get to those places. He never will. You're not. God ain't gonna allow you to escape your sins that you committed here on this planet. You're gonna get away and be like Star Trek and Star Wars and go to another galaxy. No, it don't happen like that. You know who went up in the heavens? 3 men. 3 men, the 3 E's, Enoch, Elijah, and Ezra, the one whom I would always say crashed the party. Because he crashed the party because he pushed up on God in a time where it was all over for the people of the Lord.
Yes.
Where God ain't giving out no more blessings. He was done with them. And he made himself acceptable. Like Chief Sherman said earlier, he left the worldly things alone to the point where he's getting commanded not to eat food. He's not eating food. And when he did eat, he was commanded to eat flower petals.
Right.
And that was it. After that, there was no going back to eating food.
No.
There was none of that no more.
No.
He said, man, I can't deny this guy.
No.
You pushing up so hard on me, man. God said, well, damn, man, open the door, man. God said, let that man in, man. He pushing up so hard, I can't deny him. And that's what Ezra did. That's why I would say he crashed the party. If you crashed the party, you wasn't invited.
No.
And when you crash the party, you don't get kicked out.
No.
You the life of the party.
Yes.
Right or wrong?
Yes.
right.
Wedding crashers.
Yes.
They read movies about guys that do stuff like that. And they wind up the life of the party. It's the same thing. That's what this guy did. Do you know when that happened? It was after the Maccabean times, man. It was way after, because Ezra lived way after Nehemiah. Greece came, did their thing, they doing it. It was messed up. And he left off from everybody. The captain of the guard said, why is our countenance so down? He said, you should be so happy and privileged that you are a leader of the Lord's people. He said, get thee away from me. He said, man, you don't even know what's coming. You don't know, we're not supposed to stay. You happy in the state we in? You happy? You call this blessed? You call this blessed of the Lord? He said, get away from me, man. That's the last time I read of any human being around Ezra. He chased his captain away. Back then, man, your captain, your general is around you more than your wife and your children. Back then, your most loyal servant is right-handed with you all the time. And he told him, get away from him, because I'm not even thinking about these people no more. Matter of fact, I got questions. Why is this happening? Why, if we are blessed and they're the heathen and they serve idols and we serve you, why is this happening? He didn't understand it. So he had questions like a child. Ima, why are you doing that? You don't know what it is you're doing. That's why in the book, it's saying, the Lord said, man, when your sons come and ask you, man, why are you eating this hard bread? That was one of the examples with the bread of affliction. Because the kid gonna ask you that. Because he used to eating softer, regular texture. Yeah, he said, wait, we threw everything away. Why? They're gonna ask. And that's when they ask, this is when the teaching, the diligence you give them. God told you what to tell them. They said, well, we was in Asia, thus and thus happened this, boom, 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 and this is why we do this. It's to commemorate, because that's what heathen do, and that's how they pass down tradition.
That's right.
That's how traditions are passed down orally. So God said, you got to do the same thing. The same methods that they use, you have to use it. You have to drill it in them.
Explain them why we
Explain them.
observe Shabbat.
They're going to come and
Explain
ask
why we
you.
have to do certain
He
things.
says, Uncle Mick,
That's right.
I said, Uncle Mick, why are you putting the chairs up? Because she knows it's Sunday. It's Sunday afternoon. We just had Shabbat yesterday. So I sat down. I stopped what I was doing. I sat down. Doesn't have to be my child.
Right.
I sat down because it's a child, and they ask. When they ask, you gotta give it to them. That's when you put God in their head. That's when it goes, because their minds are sponges, and they have to get it from young. Like you said, man, they're not born. We're not born like how our forefathers was.
No, we ain't.
Even the evil seed being rooted in them, they overcame. They was born with strength to overcome that naturally. from babies. They had a thing on them that was complete to where God was looking at some of these guys from the womb.
Yeah.
He looked at these and said, yo, man, the star gonna come. A dude gonna get born, and this guy gonna rise, and he gonna be the scepter.
That's right.
You, Jeremiah, I was watching you from the womb. I ordained you a prophet from then. Wow. Babies. Unborn baby was ordained a prophet of the Lord. We ain't got that now.
No.
So everything that Moses and the children of Israel, but Moses commanded the children of Israel through the laws of God, the methods and everything they had to do and keep, that's what God did. We are in that same bracket to keep that. Because why? They're coming out of Egypt. They're coming out of, they didn't have those blessings yet. It didn't come to the point where you see God say, well, now y'all the people of the Lord. It took years.
Yeah.
It took trial. It took tests. The test with the manna on Shabbat, double up Friday. Don't come out. They failed the test. It's not all passed. Because there was some that was in, not all. They look and say, man, this guy out in the field looking. There's nothing there. You can see the manna from far off.
So come strong him right up.
This guy here, what are you doing? It doesn't matter what you're going to do with the sticks.
Right.
You're gathering. That is an activity of work. That's an activity of work.
Right.
If I, hey man, you know, this Shabbat, I'm gonna make some veggie lasagna. I'm gonna make the lasagna. I'm gonna make like 3 pans of it, right? When Shabbat come, hey, there go y'all stuff right there. Dig in. I ain't serving you nothing. You gotta come and make your own plate.
That's right. That's right.
And when you come make your own plate, do not be greedy with your eyes. These are things, man. These are qualities of godly people, godly striving to be godly. You know, people striving, all right, I want to be godly, so I gotta start not being a certain way. Certain stuff I can't let it. I say, oh, you know what? That's vanity anyway, man. Leave that alone. It's just vain. All right, cool. That don't mean it's abundance of food. It talk about stuff like this in Ecclesiasticus. It said a niggard. A niggard. Look at that. A person will come and make himself available to abundance of meats. Meaning everything he said, yeah, look at that. And pile up. And then when he sit down at the table, he's boom. You know why? You don't want that, give me. Man, this thing is cold. Don't worry about it, give me. That is these are characters that when you read, it shows you this is not the way to be. God don't like people like that. It said they fell upon the quails, a lusting. Why he said that? Yeah, he gave it to them to eat, but they had to prepare it to be eaten. It had to be prepared first. The preparation is to get the blood out. They're full of lusting. I'm eating that now. And they said they ate air before. They said they ate with the blood. So before it was chewed out their mouth, God started hitting them up. God started hitting them up. Make them eat it, and they vomited out their nose. He said, now I'm gonna let you, when you engorge yourself, right, in wicked things or in food, because you can engorge yourself in that. God is the type to say, oh, since you like doing that, okay, well look, that's your heart's lust. He give it to you. He give you all access and let you drown yourself in it. And that's what he did with them. That was the example of what he did with them. He said it's gonna come out your nostrils to the part that, man, you're gonna hate it. You ask for it so much, I'm gonna give it to you. Now you're gonna hate it. You ever vomited and it come out your nose? Rice, little carrots, You blow your nose and finish, see food, you smell the food. That's what God looked and said, man, I'm gonna make y'all like that now. Since y'all want it here. They flew on it.
Mm-hmm.
Right, man.
And God made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament
Mm-hmm.
from the waters which were above the firmament, and it was so.
It was so.
And God called the firmament heaven, and the evening and the morning were the second day.
Right.
And God said, let the waters under the heavens be gathered together unto one place, and let the dry land appear.
It said, let the
And it was
waters,
Let
under
the
the
waters
heaven
under the heaven
be
be
gathered.
gathered together unto one place, and
Mhm.
let the dry land appear.
So the waters, not the waters over the heaven, just the waters that's under the heaven. I mean, he divided it.
Below.
So the ones that's below, he said, they were spread out.
Yeah.
He said, let them be gathered together.
Into one spot.
Now the earth is being formed. Now the earth is being formed.
Right. Land.
He said, and let what? And let the dry land appear.
Appear.
Let it be gathered together unto one place.
Mm-hmm.
Wherever you see where the earth is at now, where this world is at now, that's the place that God was talking about
Mm-hmm.
at that time. When he said, let it be gathered to one place, this was the spot where it's at now. And all the waters came together, and then the dry land appeared. He said, and let the dry land appear, and it was so. And God, what he called the dry land?
Called, let the dry land appear, and it was so. And God called the dry land earth.
Now, when he said, let the dry land appear, it came into existence, right?
Mm-hmm.
That means there was nowhere else. God did not pluck land.
Mm.
See, they say chaos is land, this, iron, the elements, all of these things, and it's all bunched up in rubble. So you're trying to tell me God took garbage? God took a computer, a whole book, that's what that is. That's garbage. You got everything mixed up in one. Ain't that what garbage is?
Yeah.
Refuse.
Mm-hmm.
He took that and they said, okay, you come here. And they no, it didn't happen that way. And this is what Israelites are teaching. This is what Israelites are believing. And that's not how it went. It's not what's written here. These things appeared into existence within the blink of an eye when God, right after God said it. All right? And God said, let the earth bring forth grass. And God called the dry land earth. So the dry land that appeared and gathered to one place with the waters that were under the firmament that God called seas.
Mm-hmm.
So the earth is this planet with the seas, with the waters. The waters that's here, the oceans that was here, been here before the dry land appeared.
That's right.
The waters was here before. That's why what quench your thirst?
Water.
Soda don't quench it. You think it does. All that sweet and all that stuff, it make you thirstier. It draws from you. Salt water quench your thirst? No.
No.
Water. And that was here before there. In science, they call that the universal solvent. You know why? And when they're testing the lab tests, water is used in everything. What you gonna boil in it? What you boiling stuff in? How you gonna get this to turn into a gas? How you gonna get this to be this? Most water is in your blood. Most of your blood makeup is made of what? Water.
Uh-huh.
Most of the planet is made up of water. Rocks. You bust rocks open, they got water in it. You take a couple of leaves and squeeze it, you get water. You ever took some leaves and washed your hands? Hands were dirty. Grab a whole bunch of leaves. Wash your hands with the leaves, squeeze it. Water come out. I've done that in the country, upstate. Grass. When you get up, it's dew on the ground. No rain. No rain was done at this time now. Water was around from a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And now he called it seas, like the Red Sea, the Atlantic Sea. They call it, whatever is an ocean is a sea.
No.
A sea is a large body of water.
No.
He's saying he saw it and it was good. Tamshi.
And the gathering together. And God said, let the earth bring forth grass, the herb yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding fruit after its kind, whose seed is in itself upon the earth, and it was so.
Back.
And,
Read that and go back to 11 again.
and God said, let the earth bring forth grass. The
Bring
herb
forth, to sprout, to shoot, to grow green, to cause to come forth and shoot forth. That's what happened. When God said that, grass shot forth. You have grass, you have sprouts, like alfalfa sprouts, right? These things shot forth. Bamboo sprouts, shoots, trees, all different types of trees, flowers, nectars, all of these things came forth. Vine, the vine is a shoot. Branches, leaves, twigs, all these things came from the ground, what is called the earth, which is the land, right? The herb yielding seed, okay? And the herb yielding seed, that's the grass, that's deshet.
and the fruit tree yielding fruit at this
Yeah, it's
time.
deshet, it's grass, right? And the herb, which is esed, is where you get your herbs, medicinal herbs, like the most famous one.
You can
Start with a
G.
G. Golden seal. Golden seal. Barks. Barks of trees come from trees. All these things, that's what came up. Right? And the fruit, tree yielding fruit. Trees. Trees that yield fruit. Sarah, seed. Whose seed is in itself after his kind. Meaning, this tree is going to grow a fruit that is edible. Edible being, it can be eaten by man, by human, right? And there's a seed inside of it, okay? That whether, look, listen, whether I take that seed and plant it, or that tree fall, boom, stay there and rot after a while. And then it exposes the seed. The seed, they call it germinate or pollinate. Either way, it's going to go down. Well, seed is in itself. Okay? Now, for me to mix diverse seeds, I have to take that and do that myself. Okay? They didn't have labs. They didn't have labs. They took two seeds and planted it together. Whether something came up or not, whether what's coming up is monstrous or not, doesn't matter. The act alone was abominable. God said, don't do it. So if this is wheat, this is the wheat area. The only seed gets planted here is wheat. Over there is where the corn at. The only thing get planted over there is the corn. They didn't have it together. They were separated. Okay? We're going too far into what would have happened if the seed come up together. God told them not to do it. They didn't do it. They just didn't do it. Gene splicing and everything goes into the DNA of stuff to where they're making a seed that has more than one property of different fruit seeds. And when they plant it, it comes up now, and now that seed now, it's normal now to take the eat, but no, that's what you call crossbreed. They don't just put the two seeds down there and leave it like that. They nourish it, get it to be a tree, and have the fruit come out, and then they take that seed and mass produce it and sell it to everybody. But the object of what God said is not putting them together, period, at all.
Mm-hmm.
Just keep them separated. These seeds you plant here, separated from those seeds. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care the manner of how you put them together.
Mm-hmm.
There's different ways to do it, but that's not what it's about. God said don't do it. Tom sheet.
And the earth brought forth grass and herb yielding seed after his kind, and the tree yielding fruit whose seed was in itself after his kind. And God saw that it was good. And the evening and the morning were the third day. And God said, let there be a light in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs, the seasons. And
So it
days
said,
and
let there
years.
be lights in the firmament of the heaven to make a difference, to differentiate between the day and the night,
Uh-huh.
right?
Right.
And let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years.
Mm-hmm.
So in the daytime, the sun come out. God make the sun come up in the daytime. When it is time for the day to show forth, the sun comes up after it and reinforces that light.
Mm-hmm.
That's what happens. Okay? And the sun has a period where it shines and it goes through a cycle in its course of what we call the day within that 24-hour cycle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, and then at night, you don't see the sun. You see the moon, and you see stars, and you see other things that you only going to see at night. Now, there are times in the day you will look and you will see the moon. You will see the moon, but that is not the sign of it being nighttime. You see the moon, you know, okay, it's just going through its course. That's it. Leave it alone. Leave it alone. Because at night, you don't see the moon at all, too, sometimes. But it is a sign of nighttime. The stars, you don't see stars until the sun go down. And the day, which is the light that God made, goes away into its place. Then night takes over. You're able to see lights far away.
Right.
And it lights up the sky. The moon. The moon, at night, that moon is a nice clear night. You're going to see your shadow. You say, wait, man, where that light come from? Oh, wow, that's the moon shining like that. People say it's coming from the sun's rays. That's what science say. But what I read is the tabernacle of the sun. The sun has a tent. So that's why you don't see him. It's a time he goes inside. So the brightness and everything is in that tent. Now you're able to see the moon. And you're able to see the stars. That's how God set it up. And he said, let them be for signs. Right? Now those signs, he's not talking about an eclipse of the sun or eclipse of the moon. Not talking about those things. Those are signs of devilism. People use those signs as good luck and bad luck in witchcraft.
That's right.
And they do certain things in times of the eclipse. God is not talking about that sign. See? It just means light, luminary. Let them be for lights. Okay? That is the sign. When you see the lights of the stars, you know it's nighttime. Okay? And for seasons. Seasons, appointed time, appointed place, the set feast at an appointed season. See that? All of the feast days start with a new moon. Let them be for signs, for lights in the heaven, and for times to be appointed. That's what they're there for. Okay? And for days and for years. So that's what we get time from. He said this is what they're gonna make time from the lights that God made in heaven for night and for day. And that's when you know it's about to be nighttime. That's when you know it's about to be daytime. That's when you know, what time is it? It's 12 o'clock, it's 3 o'clock. The sundial, all clocks, sundials come from the sundial. All clocks in time today come from sundials. Okay? Sundials were structures that were made to access a shadow from the sun, and it would let you know what time of the day it is. Are we halfway through the day, or are we at the end of the day? And as time went on, man added the numbers and hours to break down days.
Right.
Years are broken, the millenniums are broken down into centuries, centuries are broken down into decades, decades are broken down into years, years are broken down into days, days are broken down into weeks, days, seconds, months. That all that has to do with time, and it comes from this right here. Time sheet.
And let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven, to give light upon the earth, and it was so. And God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also.
He made the stars also.
And God set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth.
God set them. Ain't that something?
Mm-hmm.
Like he decorated.
Set them in order.
Set them in order, man.
Where they belong.
Hello, man. That's why he tell you, man, don't bow down to this, man. This here, I set this up for you to get light. This is the light bulb, man. It comes on to tell you it's daytime. This is where we get the idea of a light bulb. It's where man get it from. Where the light bulb gets put in the bottom of the middle of the floor, the bottom. No, up high. You set it up high. So he took the sun and set it up high. That's why the sun is high up. But people look at it and make it according to God up until today. Because it's on high and it gives you heat. And they say, oh man, without the sun, without God, God will make you live in the vacuum of space. All you got to do is command your chest to not need air no more. Well, do y'all understand that? You say Elijah was in his physical. And he was walking with Elisha. He wasn't in the spirit or nothing. He was still a man.
Mm-hmm.
Him and Elisha was walking. And as Elisha, he's telling him, he said, look, man, the thing you asking is hard, man. You want to double spirit. I got you. He said, man, it was hard. You know why? It's hard to have a spirit. What Elijah got. Not everybody was like him. Then you want a double of me? You want to be doubled up of me? That's a hard thing you asking for. I can't. That's something I do. I said, look, listen, you know what? We're going to play. We're going to chance it out. If you get to see when I depart, you're going to get it. That's why the man's bones revived the dead man. That's why. Because he had a double spirit and he was so juiced up that his body, his dead bones, still.
The man.
Yo, man, his dead bones gave the power of God to the dead man to walk up and climb out and walk off and go about his business. Ain't that something? That's why Elisha's bones were so juiced up. Because he asked for a double spirit of Elijah. And Elijah said, if you get to see me when I leave, when God got everybody, all the prophets knew.
Yeah,
He was leaving.
yes.
It was a thing. It's a network amongst the prophets. It said the sons of the prophets. They saw him, Elisha walking. He said, yo, man, you know your master about to leave, man. You ain't gonna have a master.
Elisha said, man, I know.
He said, I know. You ain't telling how y'all know what was happening with my master, and I don't know. That ain't gonna, I know.
Yeah.
But they just wanted to let him know, yo, this is a known thing. It's close to that time.
Yeah.
That's what was happening. It's close to that time. But that's why he had that. Because while they walking, and as he said it, the chariots of fire came down.
Separate.
And they had to separate from each other. They had to split away. From that moment on, that was it. He didn't see Elijah no more. And then he said, boom, he on the floor, he looking. He see chariots of fire. 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 A chariot made out of fire and horses made out of fire. Nobody was driving it. The chariot came down with the horses by itself and split them asunder, it said. It said, and then Elijah got up and walked up, because you got to step into the chariot. It's a step up, 1 or 2 steps. You get up like you're getting on a bus, and you in the chariot. He said, and he stood, He either sat down and stood up, and then that thing started counting. And then, because his mantle left his mantle there when they got part of the Sunday. And when Elisha, after he gone, he didn't get burnt when he got up in that chariot. He was in the physical.
That's right.
He didn't die and become into the spirit world. He was still in the physical. He went up in that heavens, still in the physical. By the command of God, he lived. The environment's not going to affect him by the commandment of God. God could tell Satan himself, man, do whatever you want to him, don't touch his life. Ain't no hedge around him now. But he's still going to do by the commandment of God, even Satan himself. And God gave Satan a command and said, don't do this, don't do that. He ain't doing it.
That's right.
That's what I was reading. This and told me, say, yo, even he's in order with God. He is in order with God. Because, oh, wow, the hedge is there. I can't touch him. I can't touch him. That's what he could be. He said, man, when you put the hedge around somebody, I can't get to him. I'm all over this joint. I'm up there, I'm down there. I'm up in the mountains with them. I'm deep down in the tunnels. I'm over here, I'm all over. I'm all over, right? But I can't touch this individual. I can't touch his house. I can't touch nobody. And you know what? This is the thing I know God said, man, see, man, what you think about him now? You know, I just let you go touch everything. He still ain't cursed me, right? You wanted me to destroy him with no cause, for no cause. You wanted me to get at him for no reason. He didn't deserve that. He didn't deserve that. Did he? By God saying that, tell me he didn't deserve all of that. But look, his integrity was questioned. Why? Because he served God. But you can't, so what he don't understand is, man, even though he's man, if he's perfect and right and just with God, those things not gonna break him. It's not gonna matter to him. But there's a bond with God, with that fleshly creature called man and God. And God got his protection now because of that. That's why he said, man, you wanted me to do this to him with no cause. You wanted me to know what's up with you, man. That's why he got a hedge around him. Because he's upright and you still want to do him dirty. Ain't that something?
Right.
The man is upright and just and you still want him to do him dirty. So God gotta have that hedge around you. You know what I'm saying? Now that he said, okay, remove it, he said, but still don't touch it, still stipulations. And I see he followed that. I know very well he wanted to kill him. He wanted to kill him from the beginning. That's why he said, don't touch him. But now he opened up the gates and said, you can touch him, skin to skin. You can physically mess him up, but don't take his life. And that was it. That was the end of the conversation. God ain't had to watch Satan to make sure he don't kill Job.
No.
I'm talking about the forget who Satan is and what his purpose is. God gave him a command. He stuck to it. He stuck to it. Yeah, he wants this guy to be destroyed. But you can't, it's not how it goes. If the man is right before God, I can't let God ain't going. I can't let you do that to him. Then I'd be a liar, and I ain't no liar. God is not a liar. He's not a man that he lied. And he already said, man, you upright. You 100% with me. I got you. None of these things will be brought up that you did before. The enemy, anybody that considers it, I'm gonna make him at peace with you. And look, if I don't make him at peace with you, I kill him. I kill him myself. Or I rise up his sons instead to kill him. Did not God do that with Sennacherib? God did that to Sennacherib. Because Hezekiah was right before God. He was so right, he was able to say certain things. He said, haven't I done all your commandments? He said, didn't I do all your commandments? There's not one I didn't. I did all of them. Wow. I can't do this guy. He's right. Judah said, oh man, she's more righteous than me, man. You can't do, if you have righteous and good in you like God, you're going to accept, oh man, you know what, he's right, man. He's right. I want to punch him in his face right now, but he's right. You know what? Go ahead, man. God is not like that. He ain't gonna do that to you if you're right. So he ain't gonna let this guy have his way with you. That's why he got the hedge. That's why he had it. And he was the only one in the whole earth. Because God said he is the only one that was perfect and upright in the whole earth. It can be done.
It's a lot of people.
It's a lot of people on the planet now. It can still be done. Look, man, die trying. You know what I'm saying? Die trying, man. You can't get to this great joke. Okay, but I'm going to die on that road. How about that? How about that? That's better than just saying, because when you say that, you're defeating yourself. You're saying a man that can't beat him, join him. Mm-hmm. That's that attitude that you got. That's what the weak say. No, I ain't joining them. I'm doing me. That's what the weak say. That's what they say. You can't do you. You got to do what God wants you to do, and then he got you covered. Look, he got you and yours covered. He said, 15. Let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth. And it was so.
And God made two great lights. The greater light to rule the day and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. And God set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth and to rule over the day and over the night and to divide the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good.
So you know the difference between night and day. Okay? Sounds sweet.
And the evening and the morning were the fourth day. And God said, let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creatures.
Now the waters, that's the seas, right? Mm-hmm. It said, let them bring forth. The same way the land, which is earth, brought forth grass, herb yielding seed, trees, fruit yielding fruit after its kind. All vegetation and trees came from the ground, came from the earth. Now, he said, let the waters bring forth abundantly
the moving creatures. That had life.
This is not plants. These creatures are going to move around. Okay? That what? That have life.
That had life.
All right? He told the waters to bring forth creatures that are alive. Ain't that something? Mm-hmm. He said, bring the plants were alive too. All these things were living things. This is how life was created. And he used it and spread it. Spread this life that I gave you and make creatures come out of it. They have life. He said, and foul. Now, and foul. We don't know what those creatures are. There's a lot of them. But beside that, the fowl came out.
Yeah, birds.
Which are birds. Fowl that may fly above the earth. Okay? In the open firmament of heaven, in the sky, what we call the sky. Tamashii.
And God created great whales and every living creature that moveth, which the waters brought forth abundantly.
Every creature, seahorses. That's not fish. That's not a whale, right? Plants that'll grab you. They got plants that'll grab you down there and eat you.
The word for whales is tanin.
Tanin.
It means a sea monster.
A sea monster. See?
Dragons.
That's what I was getting to.
Serpents.
Thank you. It's not just fish.
No.
You say creatures that have life. Leviathan and all that. Big giant squids. Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. These things, the earth is big. The firmament is big. The sun is big. The creature's gonna be big. Man was big. Everything God made was big. God is big. Okay? The living creature that moveth, which the waters brought abundantly after their kind. That's why I said it's a difference. It doesn't just say just foul.
Right.
It was fowls, creatures, fish, whales. Whales are behemoths. Big, giant, beastly monstrosities that live way under the ground. And in ancient days, pagans worshiped these animals, these beasts, these creatures.
Greeks,
Okay, yeah.
Vikings,
They did, yeah.
Druids.
Yes, a lot of them idols were crafted after creatures that man saw. Some of them were getting killed up by him. And this was the object of man back then. They figured, if this thing here is killing us up, we need to make an offering to it. And that thing became their god. And what they would do was take somebody, which was a virgin, and offer. Don't that sound like King Kong or something? But that's really what they did. And they would offer.
It should be happy to go.
Right?
Should
And
be
that
happy
thing
to
will
go.
come and eat and satisfy and leave everybody else alone and go away.
Yeah.
That was their God. He said, man, yo, look. He said, look, man, what about this right here? It ain't made of stone. This is living, breathing dragon right here. They really had dragons.
I believe that.
You see that thing called the Komodo dragon?
Mhm.
You heard of that before?
Yes,
Yeah.
You know that thing? It's very deadly.
It's fast.
It's very you can't outrun it. You think you can outrun it, you can't. Has razor sharp rows of teeth, razor sharp. And
It's still alive.
it's still alive.
Scaly skin.
And they're big. They're bigger from here to right here. Their tails is real thick and long. Big serpent heads. They look like big giant snakes with legs.
Yep.
They walk like this. They are descended from a bigger species of themselves. This is where you get dragons. They really had those things, man. You had creatures back then that are extinct now. You had fruit and vegetables back then that are extinct now.
I'll find some names, some
Okay?
mandrakes.
It's not the other way around. They say corn didn't exist back then, but it exists now. No, corn existed then. Maybe the corn that exists now is kind of different.
Yeah.
Citrus, citron, lemons, oranges, all these things come from a fruit called a citron fruit.
Mm-hmm.
It was one.
So there was a time there was just one type of citrus fruit.
I heard about that.
Man has grafted. Okay?
Orange.
There are a lot of things that we didn't eat olives. I told you about olives. The Romans took olives, put it in brine. Okay? And that soured it or pickled it. And then later on in history, people used vinegar. So there was a lot of things, a lot of fruits, and a lot of vegetables that didn't exist now that existed back then. Okay? A lot of creatures, saber-tooth tiger, all these things exactly. They had tigers that had big giant teeth coming out their mouth like this. And you got the bones. You got bones of dinosaurs. Those things really existed. One human, you stand up next to a dinosaur, the cat, this bone here, from my ankle to my knee,
Just a female.
is taller than me. It's bigger than me, the femur. They call it the femur. It's bigger than me. It's up there. Those were big creatures. God didn't make that small, make miniature. He made them big.
Mm-hmm.
He said, and God blessed them. He blessed everything he made.
That's
He
right.
blessed the fowl. He blessed the dragon. He blessed the fish, the whale, the sea creatures. Sea creatures are things that we just call a sea creature. We gotta name it.
Mm-hmm.
That ain't no whale. I saw a whale on the news this morning. Dude was fishing. Him and his son was fishing, and a whale popped up right in front of the thing, real big.
See like the air bubbles.
It said, oh man, a whale. But if something popped up and it had a head with no eyes and a bunch of teeth and 3 hands, that's a creature. God made creatures also.
Sure did.
Abominable snowman, the Yeti, the Loch Ness
Bigfoot.
monster, Bigfoot, Leviathan. And then the Bible say he made Enoch. And another one called Leviathan. Enoch dwelled in the wilderness.
Mm-hmm.
God got a lot of stuff that he made, and it's to stay in the wilderness. That's why they said certain parts you don't go in, man, because you ain't gonna come. There ain't no natives in there. There's a creature in there that is made to devour.
It's a secret thing. Most time. What you doing down there?
The devourer that devoured the scapegoat.
Oh yeah.
I read in one book, that's Azazel. That God took him and bound him up and put him in a place in the wilderness. And they have a name for it. But the name don't exist in none of the records of man. But they said it's in Israel. So it was places in Israel Israelites didn't inhabit. There's a lot of country land, a lot of spots God got. Man ain't going. Horeb is one. Mount Sinai, up to this day. They got churches there. You're on the outskirts. Not up in there. They ain't go up in there and go on to top and in the mountain like Moses did and set up no church.
Nobody's going in that mountain.
You're not doing that. You're going to die. God ain't allowing that.
No.
It's not going to happen. This is the place where he introduced himself personally.
Holy ground.
Allow me to introduce myself. That's what that really is. And it was in spectacular form, in fearful form. That only God could do something like this. Only God could be in fire and speak to you. That's why he did it. To prove to you that your fear may be before your faces, that you sin not. That you don't, you're not going to die. Don't fear now. He ain't going to kill you. He's doing all this stuff so that you fear him.
That's right.
And you don't sin. That's what Moses was telling them.
Right.
They didn't get it. They didn't get it. Because on the flip side, they said, well, look, listen, ain't no water here, but we got a God that speak out of fire. So we know he could bring water. Moses, entreat of the Lord for us. That's all they had to do. So he said, man, all you had to do is ask. Right or wrong?
Right.
You ain't had to go over there complaining and making me look bad. All you had to do is ask. That will prove that I'm your God.
That's right.
But your pride held you away from that. And that's why God did what he did with them in the wilderness and all these series. That's why he did it that way. It's 22.
And God blessed them, saying, be fruitful and multiply, fill the waters and the seas, and let fowls multiply on the earth.
Yeah.
In the evening and the morning were the fifth day.
The fifth day, we ain't even complete yet. Tell she.
And God said, let the earth bring forth the living creatures after its kind, cattle, creeping things, and beasts of the earth after its kind.
So on God's command, God created. God said he said how he wanted. This is the science. God told the dry land also to bring forth beasts. And they brought it forth. They just start coming up out of it. They just start coming up. It wasn't no egg or no proton or no this, that, and the third. They came out whole. The ox came up ox. That's why they said who was here first, the chicken or the egg. Remember that?
Right.
Darwin, all this comes from Darwin's theory. Is to confuse you and get you off of giving God his props as the creation of all life. He is the creator of everything known and exists. He is the creator of existence. For anything to be able to exist, he created that possible for life to be created. You won't even understand that. That's why he said, I am has sent it. I can't give him no other name, man. He ain't going to understand this. And I come anyhow, any form, and I come any way I want. I can make a whirlwind and don't be in it. They said it was whirlwind. God wasn't in it.
He wasn't in it.
But he made the whirlwind. Ain't that something? He could be in it, or he don't have to be in it. He could be up there sitting on his throne, or he could be down here on earth sitting in that little spot called the mercy seat. Or he could be over here in Gilgal. They said he slew Agag before the Lord in Gilgal. Sounded like God was personally there. And then now I read a couple of chapters before and after. It said every city that Samuel went to, God was there. If you read here and there a little in Samuel, But in Samuel's lifetime, those chapters, God was because Samuel campaigned throughout cities.
Yeah.
He lived in Benjamin. But there were times when he went forth to other cities. God sent him to judge cities according to how the inhabitants of the cities are living according to his commandments.
Mm-hmm.
That's why he said, you don't let anything that is within thy gates.
Right. So
that city was following all these commandments. Boom, boom, boom. When Samuel comes, hey man, it's all good. And sometimes he come and they ask him and say, is it good? Is it good? Yeah. Is it good? Because most of the time, when the prophet comes, it's pronounced evil in the city. But why? Because the people, the inhabitants of the city, are evil. That's the only reason why that would happen. See, so it was. He went all over the place, man. The earth brings forth the living creature after his kind. It's all the creatures on the earth there. We got the creatures in the sea, cattle, creeping thing, beasts of the earth after his kind, and it was so. He said, God made the beasts of the earth after his kind, and cattle after their kind, and everything that creepeth upon the earth after his kind, and God saw that it was good. Tamshi?
No,
26. He said, God said,
and God said, let us make man in our image.
Okay, this is where everybody start messing up at when they read.
Oh, yeah.
This is when everybody in the world starts messing up at.
Mm-hmm.
Israelites, Christians, Jewish people. They said, God said, let us make man in our image after our likeness.
Right.
Okay? He said, wisdom was with God
First.
before the creation.
That's right.
Am I correct?
That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
That's who he was talking to. Some people say it's his angels. I say no.
No.
Because he made his angels using wisdom. Everything was created with wisdom. And there's a chapter I was reading last night on wisdom. Wisdom talk about junk. Because wisdom with God.
That's right.
And if you're not with God, wisdom out. Wisdom leave.
That's right.
Wisdom be out.
That's right.
Wisdom saying, oh man, I was there before the creation. I was there with God. He used me to make all y'all.
That's right.
Right.
Not science.
Not science. Wisdom.
Wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
So it said, wisdom flee a deceitful soul. That's why.
God created the earth with wisdom.
That's why he said, when God created me, he created me.
Wisdom was there, not science.
That's
He
right.
created the earth with
He
science.
created with science, with wisdom. Because wisdom said, God used me in his creation. That's why everything is set.
That's right.
That's why the moon, they say the moon, in science, they say the moon has an effect on tidal waves, and it does. Because the moon was set there for a sign and a season. And at certain times when it's close or away, it's going to affect the sea. It's going, because now we know it's high tide season. That means reaping season is soon. We got to hurry up before it floods.
Right.
It's for a sign and for a season,
Right.
not for science.
Right.
Yeah, but then gauge. You know what gauge means? There's certain things that has a lot of magnetic pull, right? You can't have it too close to the earth, like the sun, the moon, certain things, certain bodies of mass. If they get too close, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
They're going to pull. It's called gravity. That's why God has it a certain amount of miles away, and that's wisdom. It's not science.
No.
Because wisdom, I'm going to find the chapter. I was reading it now. I was supposed to mark it. Wisdom was talking about God and his excellence in Proverbs 8. And how he was made, he was there when God created everything. That's who God talking to. That's who he talking to.
Right.
He said, let us make man in our image. Meaning, it's my image and the image of the angels that I got here. Because we are men, masculine image, a manly form. So there was no, There's no such thing as female angels. Or wisdom is spoken. Wisdom speaks as herself, as a woman, as a feminine, in a feminine form. Angels, no feminine form. God, no female God. He said, let us make man. Females, the version of females wasn't even created yet. He said, we're gonna make man.
True.
It wasn't the design to be. Later on, he said, yo, man, he alone, man. He didn't know he was alone. He didn't know what alone was.
No.
He didn't know what that feeling felt like.
Only God has emotions.
God said, yo, man, he needs to be. You look, he said, yo, man. He said, man, this guy, he need a woman, man. That's what's wrong with him. Haven't you heard that said before? By men. He said, yo, man, you need to go get you an e-shot. You good? You got money? Go to this camp over here and scout. So a lot of times, blow it up, man. A lot of times, you see brothers, they scouting. But that's good. Don't go out there and scout. It's better to scout here.
That's right.
And brothers, oh, man, you want my daughter? Hey, listen,
Who the
man.
hell you want?
He served God that you serve. Hurry up before the sister get to her in school. Because remember, you're sending them to school to have a better life financially and everything, but it's out there.
Caught up.
You can get caught up. College, all of that.
Old slick Negro
The
on
slick
Snapchat.
Negro is slick, man.
Yeah,
He's so
it
slick,
happened
he out
already.
slick himself, man.
It's happening now.
You gotta watch it.
Old slick Negro on Snapchat.
She's naive, man. She don't know the game.
Especially training her with this.
And you train her with this. There's a part of the world she don't know. And it's enticing, and it's strong, and it's intimidating. And it makes one, well, he said she looked at it, and now she desired it.
That's right.
Right? That's how it comes. Let them never marry an Israelite man. A lot of fathers didn't do that.
And
The daughters became, they didn't even get married, man. They became the talk of the town.
Niggas got
They became, yo, man, I was just with such and such. And blah, blah, blah. Damn. Wanted her wife before the corruption. Because you know why, too? As parents, we have to understand things move quick in our children's generations. Once their generations spring up, things move quick, man. Things move quick.
It's quicker than mine.
It's quicker than my generation moved quicker than your generation. Israel Abba. And your generation, you understand what I'm saying?
Things are gonna happen quick.
That's why they call it the whole days, the old ways, because it was more time. The generations that come, they're advancing quicker in what? In what? Wickedness. So you gotta hurry up and put the guards on quicker. You gotta hurry up. So, I ain't telling her nothing about no sex. I'm telling them nothing about that until they reach 13. All right. By the time they reach that age, she's gonna be pregnant with John.
Okay.
And she having a baby shower tomorrow.
Okay.
And you invited. And you gonna go there and accept it. Now you got half Israelite kids, half heathen kids, just like the book. Half Israelite, half Ashdod, half Israelite, half Ammonite, half Israelite. He said, man, this is why it went down the way it went down. So he said, let us make man. So we got this clear now. God is talking about wisdom. He said, look, let us make man in our image, right? After our likeness. That's why he said, or no likeness of anything. Because man is made after the likeness of God. Head, 2 arms. He has a right hand. He said, I stretch my right hand. Thus saith the Lord God, my right hand shall not spare the sinners. He said, I saved Israel out of Egypt with an outstretched and mighty what? Right arm. So he got arms.
Right.
He took Moses and lifted him up. Put him in the mountain. It's the mountain. And then walked away. Covered him, turned around, walked away. And Moses saw God walk. He saw his walk away, man. So
That was very.
that Job, man, he saw something nobody was
No man ever saw.
I don't remember.
He never seen. Only he get that. Because he's the most faithful.
Yeah,
He ain't gonna tell nobody what he saw.
when he saw, enjoy it.
To give the description, I might as well draw.
Yes.
You know why?
Yes.
Because he said, man, come here, officer. He said, officer, here's going right down. Give him a description of what the guy looked like. And while you giving the description, he like this. He said, yeah, that's him. They be right. Right or wrong. I never seen the police officer that do the sketch be like this. He said, nah, man, that ain't him. That ain't the description I took. It was always on the money. That's why God said you ain't seen nothing, because you ain't able for you to make a graven image, for you to write it down, draw it, you have to have the description here.
Right. Yeah.
You have to tell me how you want this thing to look.
That's right.
So God said, you ain't did that. You ain't got that. I'm not gonna give you that source. Some shit.
So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him. Male and female created he them. And God blessed them. And God said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth and subdue it. And have dominion over the fish of the sea and over the fowls of the air and over every living thing.
So why you bowing down to it? He don't. That's why he said, man, how foolish can you be? You supposed to have dominion over the things that you making images and bowing down to. He just said, have dominion over it. Subdue. You know what subdue mean? Overtake. Make it listen to you. Make the lion, tame the lion. I gave you that because this is yours.
So I grabbed the stick, but she don't want to go in the back.
That's what I did this morning. I said, now. I said, listen, man, not today. Because I don't like what she did the other night. She went into the bag and ate out the food. And now she knows she's supposed to get fed today, and she won't come about now. I grabbed the stick. Boom. She know what the stick mean. The animal's not stupid. She went right and look. She didn't want to go in there. She stopped and looked back. But she saw the stick. See, the door was open. She ain't come out.
Yeah.
You see, the door was open. She ain't come out. Subdue. Because if not, I'm going to be doing what the cat want. I'm going to be doing what the dog want. I'm going to be afraid of it. God says subdue these things. That way, you only fear God.
That's right. That's right.
You only fear God. That's what he wants. So since the whole world ain't going to give it up, he required it of the person of a willing heart. That's what's going on now. He don't care what you want to do. He got his saints already. He got his peoples. Because when his peoples were still alive and dying, they saying they were gathered unto who? His people. They dead. Oh no, but he was gathered into the sepulchre, and not everybody went into a sepulchre, brother.
That's true.
Abraham, they say Abraham was gathered to his people. Yeah, so who was before him? Enoch, Methuselah, Adam, Seth, Enos. Come on, man. Wake up, man. His people. All of his people is the ones that serve God like him before him. So when he died, his spirit go wherever they are at now. They're somewhere. That I believe. You don't have to believe it. I believe that. I done read all over this book and it told me enough. He said, God said, I used to always want to gather to his people. First, I used to think the dead bodies, like the graves and where their people. But I said, wait a minute, man, that guy ain't get buried like this. His spirit went to where the spirit of the righteous are dwelling. The lot of the righteous is not here on this planet. And you had the lot of the wicked also. But they're two different places. In two different spots. They both not here on this planet. I tell you that. And you don't get to that spot before you was born. Before you was born, you You ain't even existed. God made you and brought you into existence and put the breath of life. That breath of life, that's the spirit. He gave you that. That's part of God. And that's why it goes to him. So now, according to your behavior with his commandments, decide which lot you go to. And it's not here on this planet, right? Because they only speak about these things after a man died. After a man died. Let's finish this up.
And God said, behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed, which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree in the which is the fruit of the tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for me.
And this is what my Abba based food upon. He based the diet. This was the diet before the diet. And this is why he knows. He said, I know they only ate certain fruits, certain vegetables, certain grain. This is why he says this. He said, behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed, right? Which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree in which is the fruit. So you got herbs, grasses, vegetables, all that come from the greens, right? And every tree in the which is the fruit of a tree that has seed in it. He said, what? To you, it shall be for me as a command. That knocks out everything. That knocks out everything. Because that's all they ate. That's all they ate. In time, because they didn't have, Adam and Eve didn't have acres of wheat and corn and all that. But it was in the garden.
Right.
It was part of the garden. They had that. They had melons. They had that stuff. And that's where we're supposed to keep our diet through herbs, fruits, and vegetables, grains, right? Our flesh, later on, God allowed man to eat flesh. He said the flesh came from certain animals that are allowed by God to eat, right? And that was ox, cows, sheep, goats, venison, which is the wild meat, deer meat, and gazelles, roebuck, the deer, the hart, right? And then he said, these are the fowls which may not be eaten. And that's most of them. So you got to know the classifications. The only birds that can be eaten that I read were quails, pigeons, right? And I didn't even see them eat the pigeon. They ate the quails. So you have to do extensive research study to make sure that any bird that you eat has to be related. It has to be related to that quail. That's really the only bird that I can say is valid because God gave it to him. All right? It said, to every beast of the earth, to every fowl of the air, to everything that creepeth upon the earth wherein there is life, I have given every green herb for meat, and it was so. Everything that needed nourishment, every beast, animal, human, anything that ate from the ground. The fish eat the plants. And what grow from the ground down there? He said, Koru. He said, God saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good. In the evening and the morning was the sixth day. Shalom alaikum. Next time we meet will be Shabbat.
Party time.